Hi, everyone. This is Alison. As some of you who follow us on social media already know, we had a ridiculous sound snafu on our last record. We managed to turn 2 of the 3 mics off, which is why half the sound for episode 8 was so bad. We debated scrapping episode 9, but that would have meant that it would have been a full month without getting you an episode, which we cannot abide. So, through the magic of editing and one very hardworking friend of the podcast, we were able to salvage episode 9. The sound is not perfect, especially for a group of people all suffering from varying degrees of OCD. But to us, it's better than no episode or re-record. We really enjoyed making this episode. That being said, please listen to this episode through headphones. We can't guarantee the sound we mixed will play well through your car or your home speakers. We're super sorry about all the sound stuff and really appreciate you guys hanging in with us. You're the best. And I can guarantee you that this particular shit show will not happen again. I can't guarantee other shit shows not happening again, but certainly we will always remember to keep all 3 of our mics on. So have a great holiday. Enjoy episode 9. And there's like a fucking magic rock. So it's pretty bananas.
To episode 9 of Resolved Mysteries. This is a podcast where we rewatch episodes of the best show ever, Unsolved Mysteries, and we each take a case or 2 and research them to tell the stories in more depth and provide updates. We're watching on Amazon Prime, so watch along with us if you want to. To see photos we reference in the episode, which Karlin is in charge of, and she always does an amazing job. So you can follow us on Instagram at @re_solved mysteries and on Facebook and Twitter at Resolve the Pod. You can contact us at resolvedmysteriespodcast.com. We also have a tote bag there. I just got my groceries in it today, actually.
Did you put your bones in it?
I put my bones, I put my secrets, I put my bread. It's really cute, and I did get a compliment on it at Trader Joe's today.
What?
Yeah. I know, I forgot to say that.
Yeah, that's exciting. Way to bury the lead.
I'm sorry.
Were you like, by the way, please listen?
I was just like, oh yeah, it's a really good Portland.
Yes. I was debating if I would do that too if somebody asked me.
That's awesome. Because I was a little embarrassed to be like, it's mine.
It's like wearing a concert t-shirt to the concert that you're attending. Yes. You're like, okay.
It's like wearing a Beyonce shirt if you are Beyonce.
Well, she can do whatever
she can totally do that, and everyone's like, it's cool.
So yeah, if you want to have a tote too, you can go to our merch section, and there's a tote there.
Yeah.
Get yourself a tote.
If you like us, please rate and review us on iTunes. It really helps us out, and it also helps out a local nonprofit. Would you call it a nonprofit?
Oh, yeah, it's absolutely.
It's a nonprofit, right?
I just like that word better than charity.
Me too.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Charity has such negative connotations, even though it shouldn't. But
It shouldn't, but it does.
I think most places would prefer to be referred to as a nonprofit.
So it's a nonprofit called CASA, which stands for Court Appointed Special Advocates, and they just help out kids who are abused or neglected or going through the trauma of removal and involvement in a juvenile dependency case, and the CASA advocates work with those kids to help get them through it in the safest and most healthy, happy way possible.
Yeah. I have a family member who is volunteering with CASA right now, and CASA makes a difference day to day.
And then for the month of December, so that's who we are donating to, and then we will also match that donation. So however many reviews you leave, we'll match that number.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. So this episode comes out on Christmas Eve.
Yeah. Can we say Merry Christmas?
Yeah.
Is there still
We
a war
can on Christmas Eve.
Oh, Merry Christmas.
Well, we celebrate. We can say what we want to each other. So,
Merry Christmas.
oh, I have an interesting Christmas fact.
Okay, love it.
In England, they mostly say Happy Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually not for a good reason.
Ooh.
So it was started because they didn't like Merry Christmas, because they did not like that the connotations with merriment meant like heavy drinking. It started by, like upper class people in England to be like, we're not going to be we're not making merry, we're not
Got
drinking
it.
heavily. It's a happy Christmas.
They're like, it's not a schwasty Christmas. It's just a nice, happy Christmas.
Nice happy Christmas.
Got it.
Isn't that interesting?
Weirdos.
So I'm like,
Christmas should be merry.
Yeah. I mean, you need a little bit of merriment. So Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. And when you are listening to this on Christmas Eve, we will be partaking in a literal feast
Of the 7 fishes.
that Alison prepares by herself.
Yeah.
This will be the 3rd annual.
Yes, it's so fun.
It's very fun.
And delish.
Shrimp dip. Give me that shrimp dip.
But that
and that
fucking-
crab mac and cheese. So think about us stuffing our faces with seafood.
Just think of us as
Think of me with a shrimp dangling out of my mouth, because that's exactly what you would see if you were here.
All right, so Karlin, you have the first segment for episode 9.
KV, you've got 2 segments.
I do have 2 segments this week, and
One almost doesn't.
I don't know if you can tell. Maybe you can tell my voice apart from the other 2 a little better this week. It's a little extra deep. Thank you, Head Cold.
Kathleen Turnery.
Yes. But my first story is the story of the unexplained death of Kurt Sova.
Another Kurt.
Another Kurt.
How many? Oh, literally, my notes. I was like, can we not do Kurt?
No more 17-year-old dead Kurts. Okay. Sorry.
Christmas, Kurt.
Merry Christmas.
And I'm doing a Lost Love segment, so it should be about 5 minutes, about a man named John Nellis who is looking for both his father and his son.
Yeesh. I got the 3rd segment, which when we assign segments, we don't really talk that much about it. Sometimes someone just jumps onto a spreadsheet and assigns people. So my segment is the unexplained death of 2 priests. And is there a priest serial killer out there? I'll have to let you know. Merry Christmas.
Spooky Christmas. And the 4th segment is probably the best one we're ever going to have. So maybe we should just shut it down right now.
I don't know.
This is our last episode.
I think maybe this is our last episode. It is so good. And the deep dive is probably
Yeah, it's going to be lengthy. It's the story of the Magic Good Luck Rock in Washington.
I can't believe you even got through that.
We'll try. We'll get through it. It'll be all right.
Are rocks lucky? Let's find out.
I can tell you about moss levels.
No. Merry Christmas.
All right, let's get started.
Are you recording? I'm just kidding.
We sure are.
Are we recording is our next note for sure.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I want it. I want a t-shirt. Segment 1 is the unexplained death of Kurt Sova. And I saw on one article that this segment was originally titled Halloween Party Death. Yeah.
That's a little glib.
Yeah. But it takes place around Halloween time. So October 28th, 1981 in Newburgh Heights, Ohio. 3 young boys stumble upon what they think is a dummy. And of course, it's never a mannequin. Oh, let's try that one more time.
And of
1,
course,
2, 3.
It's never a mannequin. That's right. So the never a mannequin rule applies here, and it's def not a dummy, obviously.
dummy.
So sadly, it is the body of a boy.
Sadly.
Well,
It is sad.
we'd rather it was a mannequin, right?
Yeah.
One shoe is missing, strewn off to the side, which my later research showed that both shoes were missing, and they actually found one near him later. It's the body of Kurt Sova, 17-year-old boy. So as we mentioned, my second 17-year-old Kurt unexplained death segment.
Ouch.
He died 24 to 38 hours before his body was found, but he had been missing 5 days. Ken and Dorothy, his parents, are interviewed, and they think that the person who killed him put him there, or someone found him and placed them there because they, quote, didn't want to be caught with him. Kurt Sova lived with his parents in the outskirts of Cleveland. He was the youngest of 4 boys and was close to his parents, and all the boys had K names. It's like one of those families. Mm-hmm. He was never caught up in trouble. Basically, his parents trusted him. The reenactment actor is like super cool guy.
Is he?
Did you note that?
Oh, I noted those jeans.
Denim jacket. I think he had sunglasses. He was a cool guy. Of course, Kurt was a good kid. He was never out late or gone overnight. His mom said he was out till 10 at the latest, but they always knew where he was. And she said this night he just never came home. So Ken, the father, says that they searched the neighborhood, of course. As the day passed, they started getting really worried. Dorothy papers the neighborhood with missing flyers. Dorothy says, I even went so far as to search dumpsters looking for him, which was super heartbreaking.
Yeah, she's in this episode a lot.
Yes. Yeah, she's a queen.
And they contacted the show to be on it, right?
Yeah.
I believe so. I don't think I wrote that down, but I think you're right.
Yeah, I have it in my notes.
First ones where we're like, I think we've talked about this a little bit before, but it's starting to catch on that Unsolved Mysteries help solve cases, and when families are desperate, they start contacting the show.
Yes.
And I think
Totally.
I think the Hearings contacted them as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's like anything to bring attention to this is going to help move it forward.
That's what John Walsh always says to parents whose kids go missing: keep them in the media, talk
Right.
about them constantly.
Yeah. If somebody watching knows something, that's your best shot. So Kurt's friends had told Dorothy that he'd been at a party in Newburgh Heights, less than 2 miles from where the Sovas live. Dorothy found out where this party had happened and went to the duplex. The girl who had the party, Susan, wasn't home, and the girl at the door claimed she was babysitting at the time.
She was super mean.
She was rude. She was definitely rude.
Like, imagine, like, my kid's missing. Do you have any information? Nah.
Yeah, and I
Bye.
feel like when she answered the door, she was like, what? Or something.
Yeah.
Like, she was just super rude. And I think that girl is Debbie. It's weird because they don't ever talk about who that girl was, but there was a brother and sister that lived there, and the sister's name was Debbie. But she said that Susan was working at the time. So, again, it's Kurt's mom doing her own reenactment. The girl at the door says she doesn't even know about the party. Dorothy asks her to have Susan call her when she gets home because she has something important to ask her. So Susan was the one she heard through the party. Susan comes home, calls Dorothy, and says she never saw Kurt and never had a party. Yes. It's just weird. Stack says that despite what Susan had said, a pizza delivery guy told her that there actually had been a party that night. So I'm gathering that he saw the posters around town and was like, I totally saw that kid, and calls or something, because I'm not sure how else they got a hold of this guy. So Dorothy, after hearing this, calls Susan again, and this time Susan admits he had been there.
Oh, and admits that she had a party. Like, that's kind of difficult to deny having a party. She's really doing me in trouble.
Yeah, it just starts getting fishy real quick. There were a dozen or so people at the party. Susan tells Dorothy that Kurt had been drinking a lot. Everyone knew Kurt to not be a big drinker. He had a slight build, quote, and pretty much he was a lightweight. So his mom says she was surprised to hear he was drinking because she never knew him to be a drinker. Of course, as they always do.
Yeah.
But she's not having that classic denial we see in all the other episodes, because she says, but if other people were drinking, then he probably was too.
Yes.
So
he's a 17-year-old boy.
yeah, I appreciated that about Dorothy.
Yeah.
She says she didn't know him or his, quote, normal friends to drink, but he was not with his normal friends that night. He was with like a whole new group of people. She didn't really know him to hang out with. So a guy that was with Kurt, I believe his name was Samuel, and I didn't write it in, His friend Samuel says he took him outside because he was feeling ill. He says he went inside to get Kurt's jacket from upstairs and then left him, quote, hanging on the fence. So, which I think he literally was.
No, I know. This is
It's a
funny.
weird way to say it.
Yeah.
It is in the reenactment.
You should have seen me on Saturday. I was really hanging on the fence.
That is good. He goes inside to get their jackets, and when he comes back outside, Kurt is gone. So Kurt's mom says that this is the part of the story that made her hysterical, thinking that something happened to him because super weird. Nobody knows where he went. He's just disappeared.
And he was very drunk, apparently.
Yeah, which I'll go ahead and interject some of my research here.
Yeah.
They knew that he had purchased a bottle of Everclear,
Whoa, way to go from 0 to 60, Kurt.
especially if he's not normally a drinker. He probably has no idea. He's probably being pressured, so, and in my research, it says, I'll get to this later, but it says he had been drinking all day.
Weird.
So anyway, Dorothy says she didn't expect in her wildest dreams for Kurt to turn up dead. Kurt's body had been found 5 days later in a ravine on Harvard Street, 500 yards from where the duplex that had the party was. Lieutenant Robert Karras of the Newburgh Heights PD says that it was an area that people knew kids went to play and ride dirt bikes, etc. So whoever put his body there knew he'd be found because they knew that it wasn't just this place that nobody went. Police find Kurt's left shoe wedged between two rocks a ways away from him. His body is taken to Cuyahoga County Coroner's Office for autopsy. The coroner says that Kurt died 24 to 36 hours before he was found. This means he was alive for 3 days after leaving the party.
Weird.
So,
fuck.
where the fuck was he?
It's so weird.
I think I don't know, when I was watching this, it was really obvious to me what happened. But the fact that the 3-day thing is, that
that's
to me
what
is more of
throws
a
a
mystery.
wrench in it.
Yeah.
And that is where all of the theories are, because
Sure.
he is unaccounted for those 3 days. And it's like you would assume if he went missing that he died pretty quickly after because
why would he not contact his family?
Yeah.
He said he was close to them.
especially because he was like a good kid.
Yeah.
But a good kid that had now been drinking all day, which is not
Right.
something that I didn't know that.
Totally. He's not experienced with that. So weird stuff could have happened. The coroner cannot determine the cause of death. It's determined probable accidental. They eliminate other causes and nothing really adds up to anything they can sort out as, something to put on the.
Did they check his blood alcohol?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll get to that.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Good question. Dorothy couldn't believe that they couldn't tell her how he died. Dorothy says she still wants to know who could have put him in the ravine. She says she couldn't have done that to someone's animal, let alone a human being. And I just want to know what happened to my boy. Dorothy began to piece together the strange events that occurred while her son was missing. Monday, 3 days after the disappearance, one of Kurt's friends said he saw Kurt walking with another guy along a busy street less than a mile from his house. So this guy is David Trusnick. Trusnick says he was on his way to a job interview. He saw Kurt, pulled over to offer him a ride, which is weird because he was on his way to a job interview. And then a van pulled up. He says Kurt yelled, "Franco," and the two boys ran and got in the van.
Definitely the Franco brothers.
I know, I was immediately like, James Franco, hi. He says that if he'd known Kurt was missing, he would have reported it immediately or followed them, but he didn't know he was even missing. So he was just like, oh, there goes my friend Kurt.
The Franco.
Yeah.
The van.
And that was the last time he saw him. Also that Monday, a stranger hanging around the neighborhood sees Kurt's missing poster in the window of a record store. He approaches the manager of the record store and says, quote, "See that kid in the poster? You might as well take that down." She asks him why, and he says that in 2 days they'll find him dead and nobody's going to know why he died. The manager of the record store is weirded out, but doesn't really take him seriously.
What? No, take someone seriously. That
Right?
says that. That's not
Like,
a joke.
even if you think it's totally wackadoo, tell somebody.
Yeah.
The next day before the shop opens, she finds flowers and a note. It says, quote, "Roses are red, the sky is blue. They found him dead and they'll find you too."
What the fuck?
Yeah.
What?
So,
I forgot about that. It's a nightmare.
What is? I mean,
yeah, it's weird. And apparently this was like a houseless man. I'm not sure how the police got in contact with him, but they were able to question him. They said he was, quote, "a crazy from Detroit."
you know those crazies.
And she didn't see him again after that.
Nice work, cops.
Right? I know. Later, when Kurt had been found dead, the man had disappeared. Wednesday, the day the body would be found, Dorothy receives a call from Susan, the girl with the duplex. Susan calls her at 3:30 in the morning. She says someone's sleeping in her basement and maybe it's Kurt.
Whoa.
Go down there.
What?
What does that mean?
I think I made a decision about this case in the first 10 minutes and then did not pay attention to the rest. Because now I'm suddenly like, what?
This is, yeah. Oh, this story has actually like gripped me more than probably any of the other ones we've done.
Who calls at 3:30 in the morning?
It's so bizarre because if you're going to call 3:30 in the morning, you're probably pretty sure that it's him, right?
Or your shit.
But then she says that maybe it's him.
Is she saying someone's sleeping in my basement and they're not supposed to be? Or is she
It doesn't
saying
give
they're
detail on
allowed
that.
to sleep down there, but I don't know who. Like, what?
It's so weird.
That's such
It's so weird. Dorothy, of course, is annoyed that Susan is now calling her after
really?
after lying to her so many times. Like, she already knows she lied to her once. This Susan character is very untrustworthy. I don't know what's going on with her. So Dorothy doesn't know whether or not to believe her, but Kurt's dad, of course, goes to the duplex. It doesn't say this in UM, but in some of my research, it says he had to kick the door down, which if she called them over to say he's in my basement, why is he having to kick the door down?
I think, I mean, I'm theorizing that they were on some sort of methamphetamine or something. The kind of behavior that she's displaying is like someone that's really paranoid.
Ooh, okay. Yes. So there will be like drug theories happening, but that's it's just that she maybe was as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's a really clear indication like, oh, there's a stranger on my couch downstairs and it might be your son.
Yeah.
I don't have the wherewithal to actually go down there.
Okay. I didn't even think of the paranoid thing. Yeah.
Because I'm really paranoid. And then when you come over, I'm absolutely not going to answer the door because I've been up for 3 days.
Weird. Or my other thought was maybe it was the basement door he had to kick down because it was shared between a duplex. So maybe it was like somehow locked. I don't know.
Even still, Susan, what? Come
on,
Just
Susan.
call me.
Susan. Some of the comments of people were like, Susan needs to be waterboarded. Like, people were like, she needs to tell us what's going on. She's just not talking.
All right.
Yeah.
I love us as
the
a
people,
society.
we get savage in the comments.
Maybe Susan got clean and, just doesn't want to talk about it. I don't think she needs to be waterboarded.
I mean, that's a little much, but I get it. I get the frustration.
Like
but fucking tell us what's happening, Susan. So Kurt's dad goes down into the basement. He thinks he might find Kurt there hurt or sick, but all he finds is an empty cot. And he said it looked like someone had been sleeping there. In the reenactment, it's like some blankets and a pillow and
It's also a cot.
right. But I mean, it actually looked like someone could have been staying there. So Ken Sova had been in the exact same ravine that Kurt was found in 24 hours before his body was found. And of course, this is a father looking for his son, so he definitely looked thoroughly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nothing was there at that time. So the body was somehow placed
This is
after
a
he had been
Gibby
there.
one. It's a good segment.
Yeah, I found this story really interesting.
Wow.
And also Kurt was wearing a bright yellow shirt. So he's like, there's no way if I was looking,
I would have missed that.
and obviously want to find him regardless, but bright yellow shirt, I would have seen
It
him.
wasn't in camo.
So Dorothy and Ken think that Kurt had been in the cot, but was maybe already dead. They think that they panicked and moved his body to the ravine. Ken says he knows it was there the day he was there, so it must have been dumped off later that night after he was there. A boy Kurt used to know named Eugene Kvet KVET, was found in the ravine on Harvard Street, 2.5 miles from where Kurt was found. And this is in UM, like very quickly thrown in there.
Found dead?
Yes, and I think it was like a couple years later.
What the fuck?
And he was younger.
He was a little bit younger, but both young men. And Eugene's right shoe was also never found.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Alison didn't watch this.
I watch it.
She watches them way ahead of time, though.
Suck it. I watch it.
She watches them way ahead of time.
My notes are so disrespectful, though. I'm not even referencing them.
Oh.
What's wrong?
So 17 years after this happens is when Unsolved Mysteries airs. And Dorothy and Ken are still searching for answers at this time. Dorothy says she won't ever come to peace with herself if she doesn't find answers. She says, I'll search till the day I'm buried myself. I will never give up because I don't believe that a normal, healthy boy disappears for 5 days and then turns up dead in a ravine. The case is still classified as probable accident, and investigators are still hoping to determine how he died at the end of the UM recording.
Okay. So there were 2 teenage men.
Eugene was a little younger. I would consider him a boy, not even a teenager.
And
I can't remember how old.
A missing shoe, but then it just seems like the shoe fell off, right? It doesn't seem like a shoe would be taken as a...
Yes, I have my theories about the shoes.
All right, I'll let you talk. I am sorry I did not pay
No,
attention.
it's weird. And feel free to just ask and I'll...
Not sorry. This is a lot more fun. Like without
Yeah,
notes.
I know. That is one thing about, like, when we watch the show, obviously we have to so we can talk about it, but I like to be surprised, and sometimes you're going to have a few theories that will be surprising, but sometimes I think, it'd be nice if, like, we were totally surprised by the segments, or maybe we don't pay attention a lot to the other people's segments.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I've been doing. I've been taking less notes on your guys' segments.
Yeah. I mean, me too, clearly.
Yeah. Oh, God, the laugh. Okay. Kurt Sova research. So this one was super hard to find any fact on. And I have a really hard time with segments like this because you can find endless trails of comments and Reddit things and all this stuff with all these different theories. And it's really hard because people are drawing lines between multiple different things. So I'm just going to say what I found.
No, I know those are hard because it's also like you don't want to miss something, but you could literally just keep looking forever.
Yes. And every time I'm like, okay, I've got everything in the right order. Somebody else is like, but this thing is connected to this thing. And
And it's also like you can't read everything that everyone thinks.
Yeah.
You know?
So, but I'm thinking either it was foul play or a horrible accident that was covered up. Those are the 2 biggest, things that stand out to me when I hear this story.
So I just assumed, and I thought maybe because of when this show was made and how long ago it was, I assumed that he had alcohol poisoning and they probably threw him in a fucking tub.
But that was the one thing they said on the from the autopsy. So, okay, I will get to that in a second. Sorry, I don't want to get too...
my theory where I was like, this is a no-brainer. It's just
Yes.
I didn't know that kids did that.
Absolutely, I thought that too.
And I think that now it's something where we're like, oh, it's alcohol, it's alcohol poisoning, and this is something that happens with teenagers, and they flip out and they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So I think our generation is more used to hearing stories like that versus
Sure. Yeah.
not
Yeah.
people our
Totally.
age. We're not throwing people in tubs and letting them die. Too old for that.
We're not doing that. Okay, so real quick to the Eugene Cuvette thing. There are some similarities there, as we've discussed. Similar age, missing shoe, found in the same ravine, cause of death unknown. And so this is the stuff that make people think it's a serial killer. But I'm not convinced that the 2 cases are even related. The shoe thing, first of all, is not a big deal to me, nor is the ravine. If people in the town... If they wanted to dump a body and have people find it, they knew the ravine was the place to do it. If the people from the second, quote, murder are doing this, they knew about the first one. So it's like, here's a place to put a body. I don't think it's that big of a connection. And I think if you're dragging a body, like you said, shoes can easily be lost. I don't think that's...
Yeah. Why did they not find the shoes?
Yes. So there are some theories on that as well. Okay.
Okay, I also have a really quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you want to put a body where people will find it?
I think that
Unless it was an
especially
accidental
if it
death,
was an
maybe.
accidental
Yeah.
death,
Okay.
that your
want
intention
people to
wasn't for
find
this
it.
person to be dead.
Yeah.
You want the family to have some peace and some closure.
Yeah. You don't want anybody suffering.
And you don't know what to do with it also.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of reasons, I
So
think.
that makes us lean maybe a little bit towards the accidental death.
Or it could, serial killers do that as well. They
'Cause they
like,
want credit.
they want, they
Yes,
want people to
totally.
So, like,
That's true.
that's a good question.
Yeah.
But I think it's generally, regardless either way, it's because they want the body to be found.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know if those two stories are connected, and I don't put that much weight on that. Kurt had a bruise on his cheek and numerous bruises on his shins. A few abrasions were found on his flesh, but no bullet holes, knife wounds, needle punctures, or internal injuries existed. Just to recap you of the state of the body when it was found. The first weird thing is the crime scene photos. So I don't know if you remember on the reenactment from UM, but they're showing like Polaroids of him found in this like Christ-like position, like a crucifixion position. But there are no actual photos of the crime scene. They don't exist. So
you made that up?
I don't know. It's weird. But none of the actual crime scene was documented. The only Polaroid pictures consisted of Kurt on the stretcher and in the ambulance. So, police department red flag number 1. There was one new lead that came out after aired that is a real thing. A local by the name of Angeline Reddick stated that she saw 2 males dragging what looked like to be an unconscious teenage male towards the ravine. This account was never relayed to the Sova family and only came to their attention when they ran into Angeline and sparked a conversation. She waited to give a statement out of fear, but finally talked to the sheriff's department in 1989, but never heard back.
Heard back?
She stated, "I seen them taking a boy down the alley. It was just before Halloween," said Reddick, who said she witnessed the scene one afternoon from a window in her house on Washington Park Boulevard. One foot was barefoot. I'm almost sure it was the right one. I figured a couple teenagers with a couple beers too many, and they're probably trying to sober up. Which,
Yes.
I could see thinking that. The alley,
I could see that happening.
totally.
I think it's like such
Especially then,
Yeah.
The alley she's talking about was close to the ravine and could have been a route to take him there, but the timeline from which she saw him is weird. And it was midday. So what kind of idiots would be moving a dead body into a ravine in the middle of the day? So that to me does not add up.
What if he wasn't dead?
Yeah, maybe he wasn't at that time. Although,
Like maybe he was unconscious or
Ooh,
maybe,
I don't know if I put the detail of...
time though.
I don't have the detail of what day of the week that was, but there's something weird about that too that didn't quite add up.
Well, it's probably something like she's saying she saw that before the dad
Yes.
and looked, and so he would have been in the ravine when the dad went and looked, or something like that.
No, but it had to do with like time of death or something. Okay. So after the eyewitness account from the pizza guy, Dorothy and Ken were sure that Kurt really had been at the party, so they went to the house and found Kurt's jacket. The Sova family were then ordered by Police Chief James F. Lucas to cease any attempts to visit the house. Police Department red flag number 2.
What the fuck?
Notifying them that any further progression of their efforts would result in harassment. So, as one of the commenters I read said, like, that could have been anywhere between 3 and 20 times. Like, who knows at what level the police are like, no, it could be harassment.
Oh my God.
And also, you don't accuse people looking for their missing son of harassment. What the fuck?
Getting all fucking Stephen Avery over here.
Yes.
Now I'm like, oh, there was probably a kid who was related to a cop at that party.
Oh, and they're like protecting, yeah.
Or maybe something
Oh
else.
shit, man. Good.
Missing posters had gone up around the town, and there were like 50 plus people helping participate in the search. The police never searched the duplex, and no request was made to nearby Cleveland PD for assistance in the investigation.
And we all know that Cleveland is super good at investigating because there's a ton of murderers in fucking Cleveland.
Well, right, it's a big major city. Like,
Yeah. Also, really.
also, oh yes, Ohio murder capital.
Yes.
No, which
What
not
up, Ohio?
not
Serial killer
fist pump
capital.
for that, but Not happy about that.
It's like, what up, Ohio?
Yeah, no. Okay. An inquiry from Cleveland PD was turned away by Newburgh Heights PD, according to Dorothy Sova. 4 different agencies, Cuyahoga Sheriff's Department, the FBI, Newburgh Heights PD, and Cleveland PD, looked into the case and found no new leads. 18 months after Kurt's death, a Cleveland police detective, Al Figler, looking into the case, found the handling of the crime scene by Newburgh PD to be, quote, a joke. Whoa. Missing paperwork, lack of evidence, and forthcoming witnesses plagued the cold case. So here's where we get to our favorite reason that cases like this are never solved. Corrupt fucking police.
Yes.
So
running theme.
Yes, what is happening?
Come on. Also, there are
it's
so many not corrupt police.
Yes, it's so disappointing that these people give police a bad name.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Shit.
It's very, very, very sad.
Police officers are not bad people.
And when innocent people like the Sovas are caught in the middle of it.
Jeez.
So the investigation is also tainted by former detective Robert Karras, which he's the one that's on the episode of UM, and Newburgh Heights Police Chief James F. Lucas. Robert Karras pleaded guilty to a few things.
Okay. I mean, even one thing would not be good.
And this isn't even all of them. I had to cut some out.
What?
So he pled guilty to striking Eric Kotonsky of Newburgh Heights with a flashlight during a drunken driving arrest in December 1990, kicking John Rogers of Cleveland as Rogers lay handcuffed after a February 1989 abduction and harassment arrest, pulling Larry Villanueva's hair during questioning about a February 1989 break-in.
He was bad cop.
And striking Donald Gieb across the face during the same interrogation.
Excessive force.
Yes.
Yes.
I also read there was something else about him like handcuffing a suspect to a hot car radiator during. Yeah, like just this guy is just a fucking asshole who's drunk with power.
You know what though? If they made an HBO show about him, everybody would love it.
Oh yeah. I mean, of course, this kind of psycho is interesting, but
Jack Bauer in 24. You're like, yeah, shoot him in the kneecaps. But like, don't.
No. Also, drunk driving arrests.
I love
Like
24 too. Jamie started calling me kneecaps. Because I was always like, just shoot him in the fucking kneecaps and give you the answer.
Oh my God. But still, like a drunk driving arrest, we do not need to abuse. Karras was also convicted on drug and corruption charges.
There you go.
James Lucas, who served as Newburgh Heights police chief from 76 to 84, falsified documents for a police dispatcher and was found to have a criminal history, including a conviction for dereliction of duty. Lucas has defended the Kurt Sova investigation, stating to the Plain Dealer newspaper in 1991, quote, "That's not even fair. What happened?"
That's not fair.
Wait,
that sounds like just like my 2-year-old.
I know, right? Quote, "That's not even fair. What happened was completely unrelated. That's the only part I take offense to. That Sova case was handled on the up and up."
He's like, not like all of my other cases.
Yeah. That one was actually good.
He's like, I recall that one, and I think I probably didn't fuck that.
I couldn't hate more when adults say something's not fair.
Yeah. Like, come on.
Yes.
You're not only an adult, you're a police officer.
Everything is fair for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Right? The most fairest for you. The most fairest in the land.
You're fucking Snow White about it, okay? Calm down.
Oh my God. The assistant prosecutor, James A. Gutierrez of Cuyahoga County, questioned Robert Karras in 1990 about his involvement in covering up the case and or Kurt's death. Nothing materialized, and Karras eventually went silent regarding the investigation, refusing to be questioned by the Plain Dealer in 1991 and the Cuyahoga's Sheriff's Department. But as per the Associated Press, Karras did admit to all his like brutality acts and was convicted December 1990 of 76 counts of aggravated drug trafficking and 76 counts of illegal processing of drug documents. Karras was convicted of forging prescriptions for Percocet, an addictive painkiller.
This guy.
So
he sounds like he'd fit right in with the Boys on the Tracks.
Yes. Oh my God, I was like having flashbacks.
What state was Boys on the Tracks? That was in Ohio.
Oklahoma?
Arkansas.
Yes.
Arkansas.
Bill Clinton, right.
Yeah, he probably got transferred.
Right? They're like, we need you elsewhere. So the mention of Percocet brings me to the autopsy for Kurt. It was 1981, and I didn't deep dive into this too much, but testing for drugs in the system at that time was very limited. I read multiple comments from people saying that you could not have tested for certain drugs, and it's possible that some drug tests were available but weren't even performed. Percocet seems to be one of the drugs that they couldn't really have known whether or not it was in Kurt's system. So, of course, some of the conspiracies tie this back to Karis covering up because of his Percocet connections, and they think he could have been involved in covering up the death due to his connections to the drug trafficking in town.
Wow. So,
But
just those 3 days, man.
yes,
Like, there's nothing that I was thinking. Once the 3 days thing, and the behavior of the woman Susan, I believe. I was thinking that maybe he ended up on
you are literally on my brainwave.
Oh my god, great.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, it's just amazing to me. You're always.
Ben, I know, she's so smart. She should have been like an investigator or a
It's not too late.
someone.
She is.
It's too late for me to be a cop. I'm too old. Isn't that fucking crazy?
Wait, what?
Mm-hmm. There's an age limit.
To start?
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
Well, that's not right.
And you are far too young for that to be. That's ridiculous. Okay, whatever. I'm mad now.
There's something else for me to be mad about.
Turn it all down.
So basically then I just made a list of like weird things like
Yes.
you did that one episode.
Let's do that.
So the first one, Susan.
Come on, honey.
She lies and changes her story.
Is there a photo of her anywhere? I'm sorry.
Ooh, I don't know. I'll look it up.
See her teeth.
I'll look it up. Oh. What? Oh. She just said meth, question mark. Right. Maybe
Right.
Susan's a meth head. We don't know.
I know.
But yeah, totally. I don't know why my mind didn't go there.
That's good.
If he was in her basement, why did she wait to call his parents? What would have caused her to call at 3:30 a.m. and why did Kurt mysteriously disappear out of the basement right after she called them? Why did Kurt's dad have to break down the door? These are my questions. Record shop weirdo. Is this story even real?
I don't think so. Come on. A crazy from Detroit, a houseless person from Detroit doesn't say something weird and then come back the next day with a poem and flowers. Get the fuck out of here.
I mean,
Wait, you
they
think that
put
the
it.
whole story is fake?
I don't know if the whole story is fake, but
Right.
it's difficult for
Yes.
me to believe that a crazy person, implying that they're schizophrenic or they have some sort of like mental disorder, would have the follow through to then show up with a poem and flowers.
It's
the next
weird.
day.
The other thing that people say about this guy, and a few different sites had this information, was that he would, quote, brag about having access to bodies that were flown into Cleveland Hopkins Airport.
The crazy from Detroit.
Yes, he liked to steal the shoes from the bodies. Maybe because he's houseless, maybe because that was just a fun thing for him. I don't
have
know.
a name on this person?
No.
We need
Yeah.
to find it.
So I have no idea if that's credible, but I do think he was maybe vocal in the town about doing weird shit like that.
It just is weird that he would say they're gonna find him in 2 days and they're not going to know why he died. Like
Yes.
that was accurate.
I know, but
So, yes, that's what I said. I said the crazy, quote, knew a couple weird details, but it could be coincidence. The other people think he somehow witnessed the death or saw Kurt's body at one point, which was why he knew he'd be dead and that they wouldn't know how he died. The woman in the record shop had no connection to the case, so it does not make sense to me that he would bring the poems and the flowers back to her.
also,
With the exception of,
in the record shop. I'm gonna look some of these fucking people.
yeah, well, and I'm like,
Time to do that.
the only reason he would have done that is
You know
just
what?
to be
I'll cancel
creepy.
Christmas to find this shit.
Yeah, but I mean, that was on UM. They did a reenactment of the mother going into that record shop to put up the poster. So she was saying, I was there putting up posters. I don't know. So I don't know if this guy's just trying to be creepy or what. David Tresnick, Kurt's friend who saw him. Did he really see him?
Right.
Was it someone else maybe?
Yes.
Is he in on the disappearance and creating a distraction story?
Yes. Was he at the party?
We don't know. I think he says no, but I don't know if we know. The corrupt cops, obviously, questions abounds. So the horrible accident theory. Kurt was supposedly drinking, quote, all day, and also drinking Everclear, which, ew.
Okay, so this is a person whose parents don't seem to be the type of parents that are like, they never did anything wrong. Like, the mother says he wasn't a big drinker. Physically, he was slight.
Mm-hmm.
So, was there something that occurred before the party that caused him to start drinking all day? Like, is there something unrelated that we don't even know about that got him drinking?
Well, it says he was hanging out with his girlfriend, and I don't know if he was like skipping school or what, but they say he was out all day. But I just noted, if you're going to be drinking all day,
Don't
Kurt,
start with Everclear.
you're doing it wrong. Yeah, you don't do it with Everclear. Absolutely not.
Oh my God. Also, who drinks?
Ugh, I'm
I
barfing
haven't-
right now
yeah,
thinking about
I
it.
haven't had Everclear since I was at like a frat party. I was in like the fucking jungle juice or whatever.
Yep.
Like,
A lot of people in the comments were like, jungle juice.
Yeah. Like, who drinks
Um,
But this is also 81.
Yes. Okay, so
Even the bottle of Everclear looks like something you're like, I'm not gonna find
yeah.
it. Isn't there like a picture of wheat on it
No.
or something? It's like, don't do this.
The coroner did not say that Kurt had died from alcohol poisoning. At the time of the autopsy, Kurt's blood alcohol level was 0.11%. To put that in perspective, we know that 0.08 is the level at which you are illegal to drive. So he was drunk, but he was not risk of death drunk. Apparently, risk of death drunk is 0.4% and above.
Yeah.
So that's where I found out my amazing Reddit hole, because what I find Reddit to be good for is like when you're weighing the options of what could have happened. Is this a reasonable thing to think could have happened?
Yeah.
So that's what Reddit was great for me. I wondered about how Kurt had been alive for 3 of the 5 days he was missing. I wondered if it was at all possible in all the theories for him to have been hungover for a few days. The whole sleeping in the basement theory.
Whoa, that's a fucking
So,
banger.
If it's his first time really, really drinking and he drank all day and he was drinking Everclear and mixing with other things,
yes, which
could knock you out for a couple
I
days.
laughed at myself because I was like, you can't be hungover for 3 days. But I've been hungover for a whole day. A whole day.
I mean, I have been hungover for a day and a half.
Yeah.
I'll give it that.
And he is 17 and
Drinking
doesn't drink a
Everclear.
lot.
Yes.
He's small.
Right.
Wow.
So on Reddit, I found accounts from at least 3 different people from different scenarios entirely where someone had passed out or / was severely sick for 3 days due to alcohol. A couple people had stories of getting drunk on Everclear specifically and having 3-day hangovers in which they truly thought they were dying.
Oh, okay. That's my actual nightmare.
Oh my
So-
God. I drink so much. And
But not like
I don't
that.
drink Everclear.
And especially if it's your like one of your first times, you have no idea how much you're putting in your body. You know what I mean? Like you just keep going because you don't feel it yet.
And then it hits you.
And you're probably putting it in like juice or something, so you don't even taste Everclear.
Yes,
right? That's
totally.
the-
If,
that's the
especially if
point
it was
of
like jungle juice or something.
Yeah.
So a bunch of people on Reddit also brought up a certain condition called rhabdomyolysis, is a serious syndrome due to a direct or indirect muscle injury. It results from the death of muscle fibers and release of their contents into the bloodstream. This can lead to serious complications such as renal, kidney failure. This means the kidneys cannot remove waste and concentrated urine. In rare cases, rhabdomyolysis can even cause death. However, prompt treatment often brings a good outcome. It can be caused by a number of things, including alcohol or drug use.
So your organs, basically, the tissue begins to leak out into your bloodstream, and
Yep.
then you get septic.
And a few different people had stories of this happening and like
Fucking
being
Reddit,
passed
man.
out for like a day or two, waking up, pissing blood, and then passing out again.
This
Yes.
segment is making me feel so good about myself.
Oh yeah. So then I fell down a rhabdomyolysis.
Blood, so you're doing
Not yet, sisters.
Not yet. It's never too late. Please don't do that.
I won't. Yeah.
But rhabdomyolysis, oh my God, I read all these things. It happens to people who are like training for sports and stuff like that. Like if their trainers push them really, really hard, there have been instances of like 3 to 5 guys having this happen to them after like intense athletic training. Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay, so aside from alcohol and drug use, physical exertion can
Yeah.
also cause it?
Yeah. Or like being impacted somehow on your body.
And your
also.
body's just like, fuck this.
Yeah. It's super weird.
Whoa.
Okay. So yeah, I was just like, oh my God, so many things could have happened that we hadn't thought about yet.
So, in the autopsy, is that something though that could have been detected, like renal failure? They could have found that, right?
That's what I don't know. And a lot of people think that autopsy just was not very thorough.
Yeah. You know, I mean, people are always like, what do the autopsies say? The autopsy only finds what they look for.
Yes. They're looking for
don't
specific
look,
things.
right.
And
They
his
don't look
body
for
was not
everything.
very damaged. Like he had little cuts and bruises, but nothing major.
Like bruises on your shins. Like if you
Yeah.
drink and you like stumble or whatever. That's not a big deal. So like, yeah, everybody always immediately is like, what was the tox report? What's the autopsy report?
Right.
Nothing is found if they're not looking for it.
Right. And like a lot of people are saying, they would not have known if drugs were also involved in this equation with the alcohol.
And a drug like methamphetamine, cocaine, there are certain drugs that leave your system within like 48 to 72 hours.
Yes.
So if this person was still alive for 3 days after, who the hell knows?
Yes. Great. You keep going my segues. It's so great. So we do know for sure from a combination of the autopsy and current reports on the way alcohol moves through your system that it doesn't seem that he could have died at the party. As I said, his blood alcohol level would have been much higher if he died of alcohol poisoning. He also could not have still had alcohol in his system from the party, no matter how drunk he had been at the party. If he was alive for 3 days, he'd had to at least started at a 1.3% something blood alcohol level, which is not possible.
No.
If 0.4 is where you
Keep
can
up that drinking.
die.
Wow.
So if he'd been at 1.3% at the party, he'd been beyond a lethal level of intoxication, and he would have died at the party.
Yeah.
So the timeline of death and the party really just don't match up for where he died. So I don't think he died at the party.
And it does match up for, because I was going to question, well, is the coroner wrong? Maybe he was dead. He had been dead longer.
Possibly, yeah, because it sounds like
what you're saying though is actually it does account for he wouldn't have died right away with that blood alcohol level
right.
he had. So
Yeah.
he probably was alive a couple more days.
But it is weird that there was still alcohol in his system.
So he must have been drinking still.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think he was still drinking after.
I think that he was probably using speed. I think that he was up and he was drinking, and then something happened. I think that accounts that you can't. No one can lose 3 days like somebody on amphetamine. So like, I think that he might have been drinking for the first time, and I think maybe somebody gave him speed for the first time.
Yeah.
And I think he kept using it, and he was up and he was drinking a bit, but you don't drink that much.
Yeah.
And then I think something happened. That's sort of my theory. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the best way to account for 3 days.
Yeah. And a lot of people on Reddit were like, we totally think he could have OD'd. Like, and it just wasn't detected in the autopsy.
Yeah.
Which is so amazing.
Yeah.
So Susan and Debbie and their brother, whoever, could have been hiding Kurt in the basement because he was just so sick and so hungover they were afraid to admit to giving a minor alcohol.
3 days?
I don't
Also,
know.
The drinking age at that time was 18.
Oh, it
I
was?
think so.
Oh.
What year was this?
I don't know.
84?
But he was 17, so he was still not of age.
But it's not like it's not the difference of 17 and 21. It was literally 18 at that time.
Yeah. So, yeah,
That deep,
I don't know. Some
you
people
know?
think maybe at some point he did die in the basement. They panicked and decided to dump his body. This theory seems likely and believable to me and was similar to the theory that Dorothy and Ken had for what happened to their son.
So has Susan been like questioned deeply?
No.
So, has Susan been waterboarded?
Because, well,
I forgot she's the one who won.
don't worry, Reddit is working on it.
Jack Bauer Eliza is. Has someone shot her in the kneecap?
Have they tried that?
Other weird questions. How were the Sovas at the duplex so many times, which we're still unclear how many it was, but we know it was a few.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
enough that the police warned them against harassment.
So he was there for 3 days in the basement.
Yeah, how are they there so many times and didn't go in the basement? Or
these people just kept coming to the door and he's literally in the basement and
Right.
they're saying no, he's not here.
right. And that was the only thing I thought it was, maybe they didn't know there was a basement. But if they were in there enough to like find his jacket and stuff, I feel like they would have been like, is there anywhere else we can look? Like, you know, like it's just weird.
How many days after he was missing did that person say that he got into a van with a man named Franco?
I think it was so like what day did that fall that he saw him?
Yes.
I think it was on like the second or third day. Yeah.
Bender.
So, and then the Franco thing is a whole nother separate, I just lost my place. A whole nother separate like side theory. There was a man by the name of Franco who died at a gas station nearby that's very close to this time.
What the fuck?
So they thought that it could have somehow been tied to this Franco guy. But I saw an anonymous comment on the message boards.
In a gas station? Yeah, how do you
Yeah, I don't
guess you
know.
overdosed in the bathroom or something.
I like quite honestly didn't even look into the Franco guy because it was too much.
just keep going?
No, of course. Absolutely.
But an anonymous comment on the message board says the killers of Franco were found and convicted in 1986.
Okay.
So, yeah. So
Shit, girl.
it's just endless theories, and they're all like, but this could be related to this. And
So what do you think? What's your theory?
I mean, I'm similar to you. I think something with drugs, too much alcohol, somebody, he accidentally died.
And then they dumped
Somebody
him.
freaked out that they were going to get pinned with it,
Of course.
and they dumped his body.
Yeah, and that isn't like a really rare. I mean,
But
not a rare
what was happening to him all those days he was alive?
Yeah, I mean, it must have just been a deep, deep bender. If he he's not even having the wherewithal to think my family. His losing time.
Yes, clearly, if he was in his right mind, he would have called his family.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
So,
And the fact that he didn't have a lot of alcohol in him.
Yeah.
I think that it was, maybe really fucking sadly, it was his first time drinking and using.
That's a true.
yeah.
warning
And
against using drugs.
Dorothy and Ken have since passed. So,
Yeah.
they both died without knowing what happened to their son.
Wow. And this isn't like something that's going to be solved. Like DNA, aside from the cops being totally fucked up, but you see a kid that's been missing, he's dead in the woods, he doesn't have any bodily injury, he's not nude, there isn't, so
No,
you're probably
yeah.
like, this kid probably, I would have immediately, and I did assume alcohol poisoning.
Yeah.
Like either he died someplace else and was dragged here, or he just got drunk and fucking wandered into the what,
Yeah.
So while it is really weird that they didn't take a ton of photos of the crime scene, it isn't like maybe it just didn't seem like much of a crime.
Well, yeah. And the
Right?
crime scene, quote,
Yeah.
really didn't have anything to do with what happened to him.
Exactly,
So,
you
that's
know?
just where he was found.
Yeah.
But,
Wow.
yeah,
That was
it's sad.
yeah.
I'm glad. It's really sad, but it was a good segment. I'm glad
Yeah.
we started with that because the rest are.
So, get excited.
That's a little teaser for you.
If you guys have any theories about this, hit us up because
Please do.
this is a mystery.
There were, and I
We don't
even
get a
saw
lot of them.
comments from people claiming that they knew these people or that they knew someone in the story, and they still had no detail on it. So,
Yeah. Wow. Nice work, Katie.
thanks.
Okay.
Everybody start over.
Start over.
So this Lost Love segment centers around John Nellis, who contacted the show when he was 42 years old to have them help. Wow, I can't do it.
I'm just waiting for the day.
God.
Eliza walks into the podcast room and she's like, I fucking quit this.
I didn't think this is the segment that was going to get you.
It always is. It's these ones that I don't work that hard on.
No.
Yeah.
Well, it's super hard.
Okay.
She-
Any kind of fraud, any kind of lost love, you're like, oh,
I'm
fuck.
ready.
She
Oh
just
my
quite
God.
literally can't.
Yeah, okay. Please cut that. So this Lost Love
Maybe.
segment centers around John Nellis, who contacted the show for help in finding both his father and his son. So we're going to start with John's father, Melvin. So Melvin Nellis was an American serviceman who met John's mother, who remains unnamed on Google and also in this whole segment, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Because she's a queen. So
Yes. What the hell?
yeah,
I don't have her
and I
name.
could not find her name anywhere.
Oh.
So Melvin met John's mother while he was stationed in Chongqing, China in the mid 1940s. And they fell in love and lived together and basically were a family. And then John was born in 1949. So 5 years later, Melvin receives orders to go back to the States. So he's been in Chongqing for around at least 10 years probably, and has lived with his son and his son's wife, this woman, or mother who he's supposed to love, and then he gets sent away and he leaves.
I don't want to talk too much about
And I'm sorry, I wish I knew her name. John's mother can't technically go with him because they're not married. So, like, the army or whatever wouldn't cover that. Or,
Right.
You know, there's probably something about her citizenship that just wouldn't work out because
Yeah.
they're technically married.
Which is
Why
sad.
didn't he marry her?
Like having a child together is even more reason to stay
Are
together
you
than.
fucking serious?
Like, in the 40s and 50s, then you know that is the only way to get anything done or do anything.
Yeah.
Why would he not?
Because his
marry
family
her?
probably didn't want him married to a Chinese woman.
Yeah, that's what I thought was shitty too. I was like, why didn't he just marry her then?
He leaves, and John is being interviewed and saying his mom didn't want. I think John could have gone with Melvin because he's his son, and he could have taken him and worked out immigration that way.
Right.
But the mom didn't want John to leave her because in Asian culture, the boy is like, you know, the head of the household, kind of.
Yeah.
He was her only son, and I could totally understand that. Like, I wouldn't want my child to be taken away from me either.
Yeah.
I would want us all to be able to be a family.
I
and
wonder
get
if
together.
that was also after the one-child policy in China.
Oh.
Well, okay, so the mom is actually Vietnamese,
Okay.
and they, she did live in Chongqing, China, but they, after Melvin left, they moved to South Vietnam, which was where she was originally from.
Right. Okay.
So
Oh.
in South Vietnam, she's raising John alone. She sold produce and worked her ass off to be a single mom, where this white American man just left her, was writing letters to them, and then suddenly the letters just stopped. And it's not like you can easily find someone overseas in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he got married to an American woman. That's why the letter stopped.
Well, I couldn't find that.
I know.
I mean, it's most likely, but I could not find any indication of that.
Huh.
He
That
died.
he ever had a family. No, I know what happened to him.
Oh, okay.
So John says that his mother was just wonderful and cared so much for him and wanted him to have a good education. So she spent 2/3 of her income on private schooling for him.
I know. And he really talks about her in a way of like, I know that she like sacrificed herself for me.
Yeah.
It's so nice.
I wouldn't spend 2/3 of my income on a good school for my kids.
No.
So he was able to learn English and receive a Western education. And then in 1957, his mother took him to the U.S. Embassy in Saigon so that he could start the immigration process to the United States. So I think at that time she just was running out of money. She's thinking, my son has this great education, but what's he going to be able to do with it
Yeah.
here? So she started the paperwork to have it proven that John's father, Melvin, was an American citizen, which would help his immigration.
What year is that? I'm sorry.
That was
60?
1957.
1957.
And I'm sure also, I don't know a lot about the history before the Vietnam War, but I don't think things were great in Vietnam
Yeah.
in 1957, even though the war hadn't started yet.
Yes.
So she's probably also like, I need to get my son out of here.
Yeah. And I wrote down that it said she was afraid she couldn't take care of him.
It's really heartbreaking.
It is
Like
really.
this, I'm mad at the dad. It's
Yeah, it's so shitty.
so shitty.
I mean, from where we're standing, it seems like a really easy fix.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You should have married her, and you all could have come to the United States together.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, it wasn't my segment, so I didn't do my typical spider web of insanity.
Right.
But I really would be interested to know, because I know that there are a lot of children who were born.
Yes.
I looked that up and I couldn't find. I didn't dig too deep, but there wasn't anything like
High level.
Like a major statistic. Yeah.
But that's because it's not something that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
You
and
know?
people probably aren't reporting it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You're not falling all over yourself.
And
Talk about that kid you left behind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, God. I would
Especially if you
love
have a
to know
family
that
back
stat.
in the States.
Exactly. Especially
Oh,
in
yeah.
the 50s and 60s.
Yeah, it's like your dirty little secret.
100%.
Yeah. So, in the late 1960s, the Vietnam War begins to escalate, and so John's older now, and he began dating a Vietnamese woman, and within a few months, she became pregnant, and then had a child, and this is the son he's looking for, whose name is Daniel. So, in 1971, this woman he also, it's just interesting because it's almost like a repeated pattern, but not quite.
Yeah.
He was not married to this Vietnamese woman. In 1971, she takes their son, Daniel, and leaves him. And in 1973, he knows that she married an American Marine. And John thought that they had taken Daniel back to the United States, and he never saw his son again.
Yeah. So this was different because the son was taken from him, not vice versa.
Exactly.
And they didn't take the son because the son wasn't the Marine's son.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what John thinks happened. So then in April 1975, as Saigon fell to the North Vietnamese, they're in South Vietnam, and thousands of refugees are trying to flee the country, and it's kind of like the last planes out, and U.S. military is helping them get out. And so John and his new girlfriend, Vivian, they are able to escape. They're one of the last ones to get out of South Vietnam, and they are getting onto a truck, and angry Vietnamese troops are shooting at them as they escape. So, like, they have had some major trauma.
Yeah.
As any refugee will.
There's actual footage of that as well, which I think you rely heavily on, and it's so upsetting.
It's really upsetting. I was thinking about it, like, when this episode aired, it was 89 or 90. So the Vietnam War is not so far away from that time. Like, a lot of people watching were in Vietnam. We're seeing Vietnam's one of the first wars where it's just, like, highly televised.
Yeah.
So all those images are very, familiar to them. Whereas, like, us watching it now, that seems so long ago, but we have so many things that we can connect it to.
Yeah.
That's happening right now or not that long ago. So it's just interesting how, like they say, history repeats itself. So they're able to get on one of the last planes leaving Saigon, and they make it to the United States. So after they settled in the United States, John is still looking for his son because he thinks, well, at least I made it here, now I can find him. And he learns that his son Daniel had actually been left behind in Vietnam. God damn. And it's unclear if he was... I mean, that woman, did she leave her son behind? And she did go to the United States for sure. I couldn't find
Yeah, I was a little confused about that.
That's awful. Well, and I have so much respect for John, too, because he wants to be a father to his son so badly.
Yeah.
And he could easily go the way of, well, I didn't have a dad. That kid doesn't need a dad. Like, repeat the pattern. But he's trying to break that cycle of, no, my son needs a father, just like I wish that I had.
Yeah.
Had a father.
Yeah. He's a good guy.
He's such a good, like, the energy that comes off of him.
Yes.
He's just so, like, full of love and
Earnest. Earnest is the word I
Yeah,
have.
earnest, like, he could have easily, like you said, just been a dick about it, and instead, like,
He's not going to give up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he learns that, which is some really disappointing news for him, I'm sure.
Not bad.
During the time that he's also acclimating to a new culture and a new country and trying to make it work in America and getting a job, and he's dealing with so many things. So he and Vivian got married and they became U.S. citizens. And at the time that they were interviewed on this show, they lived in an affluent suburb in Orange County, California.
In my notes, I was like, the OC. Okay.
Yeah.
Way to make it.
I know.
Dream.
Seriously. Truly.
Yeah. Okay. He worked as an electronics technician, so he's doing well.
Yeah.
Very impressed. So they also, Vivian and John had a daughter together in America named Vienna. And that's kind of where the show ends off. They show them playing with Vienna. She's like 2 or 3 when the segment airs. And he just is hoping anyone can help him find out where his son Daniel and his father Melvin are. So he found them. He found both his son and his father.
Put it on the list.
Put it on the list. I was going to say that list has been sitting for a couple episodes.
I don't know if it's actually updated.
I think it is.
Oh, no, it's updated.
I usually check on it while we're recording, and I'm like,
So this will be number 8.
so the list we speak of is the Solved by Unsolved Mysteries list. And the last one we put on there was Gail Delano. So that was a while ago, guys.
And it was just so indicative and typical of us that we made a pronouncement that we were going to make this list.
Yeah.
And, because everything got solved. And then literally nothing.
Yeah, we've had a gap.
So yeah, it's good. I think his son that one was not solved by Unsolved Mysteries because a week before the story even aired, John learned that Daniel was alive and well in the Philippines. So they are able then, which is pretty cool because then they're able to show him like coming to America.
And I bet they pay for it.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah. And so Daniel, his son, flies to the United States and is reunited with his father. It's unclear who he was raised by or how he got to the Philippines or why. But he's able, and it's just the best because John just looks so happy. It's like what he's been longing for so long.
Yeah,
and
it's so nice.
Like, now I can give him a good life, and it's just wonderful.
Yeah, he just like hugs him immediately.
Yeah. And Vivian, like, I was also like, gosh, this woman is a dream.
Yes.
She's so happy to see him. And
Yeah.
he's like this teenage boy who is not her son, but she's just also delighted. Like, you can just tell there's a lot of love in that family.
Yeah.
They're wonderful people.
Yeah. Then shortly after the broadcast, one of John's relatives in Ohio contacted him and told him that his father Melvin was also alive and was living in Tokyo, Japan. So he had retired there. And John called him on the phone, and they talked for the first time in 40 years. And then later, he actually went to go see his father in Tokyo.
Huh.
So I don't know. I can't speak for it. That's kind of all I could find. I know Melvin, his father, is no longer alive now, but there's nothing on findagrave.com about like him being buried next to a spouse or anything like that. And I looked.
Maybe he just moved a lot of Asian countries and made a lot of Asian children.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Could be.
I don't know.
So,
But
basically a good ending, but I don't know about
a
this
rough
Melvin
road.
character.
Yeah.
Rough road, Melvin. Come on, man.
But yeah, I wish them all the best. I kind of tried to look up what they were doing. I think I found Vienna, who's obviously an adult now and maybe is doing well. But yeah, a success story, I would say.
Yay.
Yeah.
Reunited family.
Yeah. Lost loves.
Lost
Found.
loves. Kind of
Found loves. Number 8 on the list.
Yeah. Karlin's desperately looking.
I wanna write it. I can't.
All right, so segment 3 is the unexplained deaths of Father Ronaldo Rivera and Father...
I've never gotten to look over Allison's notes before. The top says, "Okay, my turn, bitches."
Well, can we rewind then? Because you didn't say that.
I know. That
I
isn't
like
how I
it.
start all of them.
I like outing you.
I'm like, all right, here we fucking go.
Yes.
Well, because I was like, you had said, are you sure you want to do the priest thing? And I was like, yeah, I'll do the fucking priest thing.
Yeah.
And then I was like, what the fuck? And then so, okay, it's my turn, bitches.
Thank you.
Okay, so So, I don't know Father Kerrigan's first name.
Sorry.
I bet I got it up. John.
Okay, so segment 3 is the unexplained deaths of Father Ronaldo Rivera and Father John Kerrigan. Fast forward through all of my shit talking.
As we
Okay.
usually do.
I am going to approach this in the most delicate way possible. I don't want to be the token godless heathen on the podcast, also semi-alcoholic almost, So, I respect people's need to believe in something. But before I continue, listeners, if you don't know anything about the Catholic Church and the scandals that have plagued it, please watch Deliver Us from Evil, an award-winning documentary.
I haven't seen that one.
Or, if you don't like documentaries, you can watch the amazing Academy Award-winning movie, Spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
Please do that, because don't shoot the messenger. If you don't know, do that first.
Oh, yeah. And nobody's saying there hasn't been a million corrupt things to happen in the Catholic Church.
Okay, great.
We're just saying that not every Catholic is corrupt.
No. Father Ronaldo Rivera of Santa Fe, New Mexico, has been murdered, and Father John Kerrigan of Ronan, Montana, has mysteriously disappeared. Is there a serial killer at large who is exclusively killing Catholic priests? If they're the priests from The Keepers on Netflix, I would be fine with that. Watch that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. The evening of August 7th, 1982, Father Gerard answered a call for help at the St. Francis Cathedral in Santa Fe, New Mexico. He isn't able to leave the rectory because he can't drive at night. So he tells the caller to call back in 15 minutes. Exactly 15 minutes later, the telephone rings. This time, Father Ronaldo Rivera took the call. So the caller insisted that a priest come immediately because his grandfather is dying. But then he directed Father Rivera to a rest stop south of Santa Fe. I think is your grandfather dying at the rest stop?
Yeah.
I found all of this really confusing.
Mm-hmm.
Later, when I kind of did a little bit of research, I found out that if a priest were to receive a call like that, they would not call the police, and they would go directly to where the person directed them to go.
Yeah.
So it isn't weird. I mean, I guess it's probably weird now.
Right.
But it certainly wasn't weird.
But at that time, it was like wherever I'm needed.
82.
Yeah.
And I also wonder, too, if obviously the caller probably did something terrible, but I also think then it was probably harder to give an actual address. Like, there's no map quest for him to drive right to a house. So the guy's like, do you know the rest stop on this and this? And he's like, yeah,
sure.
I can be there in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So I only say
That's
that.
true.
It probably also wasn't that weird either.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Because you're not going to say, like, I live on 123 Maple Street, and here, once you get past the shop right, make a left.
Totally.
You know?
So he said, meet me at the rest stop. Yeah.
So this rest stop is south of Santa Fe. I guess, you know the Santa Fe song from Rent?
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, what? I was thinking from Newsies.
Oh, it is from Newsies, sorry.
There's two.
Oh.
Yeah, there's one in Newsies and one.
Santa Fe. Yeah. That's immediately where my head went.
You guys are adorable. Okay, so the man gave the name Michael Carmelo, and he was 20 miles away. Lieutenant Gilbert.
I think it's Ulibari.
Ulibari? Is that it?
Ulibari.
Ulibari. I think it's Ulibari. Lieutenant Gilbert Ulibari of Santa Fe Police Department tells us that Father Rivera left to go meet a person at a rest stop and was reported missing on that Thursday night. And he says he, quote, didn't show up on Friday. So I don't know anything about the way priests live. Is a rectory, is it like a dormitory? Like, do they all live together? Is it, I don't know.
I believe they always live on site, don't they?
Yeah.
Okay. So, like, they would say, so there would be, you know, other, like Father Gerard, who answered the phone call initially, would say, Father Rivera went out and didn't come back, I guess.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I just don't know how that works.
Definitely. I gathered that they lived at the place that he was answering the phone.
Okay. So they know that he was headed to Waldo, and they had hundreds of citizen volunteers come out to Waldo searching on horseback, What up, 82 in New Mexico?
Yeah.
Dream.
Well, it's probably like the areas that cars can't get to.
Karlin's like, I would have searched if I could get a fucking horse.
We all know I would do anything for a horse.
So they searched on horses, 4-wheel drive, walking the area, and I mean, Waldo looks like a desert.
Yeah.
It's so strange to have a town that is a desert.
Yeah.
It's very odd. And I'm sure that it's probably built up more. I've been to New Mexico. A lot of it is desert, but it's odd to be like, this is the town of Waldo.
Yeah, that is weird.
That's
Yes.
mostly desert. It's just,
Well,
It's so Breaking Bad.
it is.
it's
the whole
so
thing
it's
is very
so
Breaking
a lot of murder stories I can think of
Bad. Yeah, absolutely.
where there's vast,
Mm-hmm.
great expanses of desert.
Yeah.
With
It's
bodies.
actually a miracle when you find anybody.
Yeah.
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 So the lieutenant tells us that 90% of the people searching knew who Father Ronaldo Rivera was and that he had impacted their lives in some way. This guy, I dug.
Yeah.
This guy is a good guy.
Yeah.
So 2 days after the search began, Father Rivera's body was found on a desert road 3 miles from the rest stop.
Oh my gosh.
It's unfathomable to me that it took 2 days to get 3 miles.
Yeah.
Like all of these people on foot, horseback, like he was, from what I discerned, very out in the open.
Yeah.
So, the desert is just, it's fucking vast.
Right. And you'd think the search would like radiate from the point of where they knew he met the guy
Yeah.
in every direction.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. They don't initially say how he died. At Father Rivera's funeral, the entire city of Santa Fe mourned. They were devastated. Corinne Martinez says the entire city was grief-stricken, whether you were Lutheran, Catholic, Protestant, or Jew. I believe Jewish is the correct
Yes.
term.
I heard that too.
But I understand where she's coming from. Father Ronaldo Rivera's sister said that everyone loved him, and she said, I'm sure he is happy where he is now. I will miss him. And she gets choked up, and I got choked up.
yeah.
It's just
It
so
was sad.
And they had real footage of his funeral.
Yes.
Yeah.
They had the street.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and apparently hundreds of people were just lining the street, even if, like Corinne says, regardless of religion.
Yeah.
And that apparently everyone was silent. Like everyone was just silently standing there while they did the procession. So Mr. Stack tells us that Father Rivera met the man calling himself Carmelo at the rest stop. He was apparently in a blue pickup truck. Lieutenant Ulibarri then gives his theory of what happened next. He says the killers, so I think he believes there's more than one, were waiting for him. And he says it has to be at least 2 people because Father Rivera would have given one person too hard of a time, which I think is fucking
He was a
cool.
scrapper. He was a scrapper.
I mean, and I saw pictures of him and we'll post them, but yeah, he's an older man, but you could tell that he was a fucking,
I love that.
yeah, well, yeah.
But also, we know they had a gun.
Yeah, well, so they don't say that initially. So they
Okay.
don't say that he was. They don't say how he was killed. So then they get to that they had a gun. So I don't know if it had to have been 2 people if you have a gun.
That's what I said. I was
Yeah.
like, one person with a gun would subdue me easily.
Well, yeah,
Yes.
one person with a gun is equal to 2 people without a gun.
Yes.
for sure.
Totally.
Unless Father Rivera was someone that was just I'll fight you for this gun.
Yeah.
I'll scrap to get it away from you.
Right.
I don't know. So they show Father Rivera getting into a truck with these 2 strangers, and I don't mean to sound rude, but it's insane to me that someone would meet someone at a rest stop,
Yeah.
2 men, and then get into their car and go with them.
Yeah.
Because I guess we just live in a different time.
Yeah.
No one who would kill a priest.
Right.
Even a godless person
Right.
has respect for someone else's religion.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So Lieutenant Olibari then mentions that they had a gun because the father was shot. So that's the cause of death. So he thinks they used the gun to threaten him. But they think, and he thinks that they took him to a remote desert area and shot him. But he wasn't killed where he was found They threw him at another location and left. The lieutenant literally says, like, you can hide a body so it's never found.
Yeah, especially where they were.
Yeah.
He's like, there's multiple places in Waldo you could hide a body.
It's a similar thing. They want the
Body to be found.
Yes.
Which is, again, like we were saying, either a fucking monster garbage person or someone who feels guilty.
Yeah.
Right? After the crime, the killers returned to the rest stop to move Father Rivera's car. It was found at another rest stop 2 hours away, out of gas, which they don't say in the episode. But they just,
they didn't.
Yeah, they drove it till it was empty.
That makes sense. Okay.
The car had been wiped clean. The Santa Fe police didn't have much to work with, and they weren't able to locate a Michael Carmelo. They're like, we ran all. It's like, obviously, the fucking
Yeah, not a real
Michael
name.
Carmelo.
Yeah.
Stop it. Yeah, not worth mentioning. Duh. Larry says that Father Rivera wasn't the target. A Catholic priest was the target for, quote, whatever reason. The father's last rites kit was the only thing that was taken, and Ulibarri thinks that it might have been taken as a souvenir.
Yeah.
Also, Father Rivera probably just showed up with a last rites kit. It's not like he had, anything.
Yeah.
Even at that point.
Right.
In New Mexico in 82,
Yeah.
if you're a priest and you get pulled over, I doubt you even have to show a driver's license.
Yeah.
You're just
Yeah,
like,
probably
"Look at
not.
me," You know?
Yep.
He was in his
Very true.
priest clothing.
Yeah.
2 years later, August 8th in 1984, I want to say Ronan. I think it's Ronan, Montana.
They kept saying it like that. Yeah.
It looks like Ronan, but I think it's
Yeah.
Ronan.
Agreed.
Father John Kerrigan was, quote, new to Sacred Heart Catholic Church. A new priest is a red flag for me because
They get moved.
bad priests were frequently moved around.
Oh, didn't even think of that.
So, if he's new a lot, there's a reason. He was only in Ronan for 4 days before he also vanished. At 11 p.m., the night he vanished, Kerrigan went to a bakery. I was like, what kind of fucking bakery is open at 11 p.m.?
Yeah.
Also, who is awake at 11?
I mean,
You just
Put
really
that-
outed yourself as someone that is not a cool person.
well, I was going to say put that bakery here in Portland and everybody would be there, but
I know, but it's even like
in the middle of the desert in
New
Mexico.
I think it's probably like the only place to hang out. But it's not.
probably, yeah.
Seems like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was only there for 4 days before he vanished. At 11 p.m., the night he vanished, Kerrigan went to the bakery and chatted with his new parishioners, and then he left to, quote, go to bed. I later read that he was on a jog. He was jogging,
Oh.
which we'll post a picture of Father Kerrigan, but he doesn't look like much of a runner.
Jogger.
Not a jogger.
Okay,
The whole thing was
yeah.
very strange.
Well, and then he leaves in the reenactment. He's like, I better see you all in church tomorrow.
Okay, cool.
Oh, I didn't remember that.
I did.
Uh-huh.
And then I looked up what the date was in 1984, what day it was.
Yeah. Ooh.
Okay, it was a fucking Wednesday. So then
Thanks,
I Googled,
UM, for that unnecessary added dialogue.
Then I also Googled the schedule of sessions at Sacred Heart in New Mexico, in Ronan, Montana. And there are no Thursday. What are they called?
Mass.
Mass. I was going to say seminars. I clearly have no nomenclature for this. I am very, very sorry.
Lectures.
Yeah. Snooze fest. Yeah. But I was like, that's weird because all of this other stuff comes into play. So if he was planning on seeing everyone the next day, so
Right.
UM messed that up.
That's
Yeah.
annoying.
Yeah.
I
Well-
wondered that because they never said that was a Saturday.
Yeah. They never said it was a Saturday. The dialogue they used implied that the next day would be Sunday.
Yes.
This isn't the
absolutely.
first time in this episode that we might think that UM is embellishing the dialogue.
Yes.
Just you wait.
There's a little teaser for you.
Oh, right. That's right. Okay. So I'll let it lie there. But it was a Wednesday. There was no way anyone was going to Mass tomorrow. Because the circumstances later of his disappearance come up where I'm like, oh, that's odd if he was going to have Mass.
Yes.
Okay.
The next day, by nearby Flathead Lake, a, quote, fruit peddler, which I cannot, that is amazing. It's a fucking, I mean, I know what
I
peddler
think
is,
it,
but like,
yeah, they had like a,
Is this the 1800s?
yes, peddler. They had like a stand. So yeah, I don't know
Yeah,
why he's
so they
calling
were
her a
like-
peddler.
yeah, or just, I don't, Like, that's too specific.
Yeah.
Anyway, fruit peddler just discovered a pile of bloody clothes. The clothing isn't priest. Again, I'm sorry. I wrote priest outfit. I don't know what it's called.
I don't either.
Right?
I don't either.
Okay.
No.
So here's the thing. I will Google things that fascinate me, but things that bore me, I
Yeah.
will not Google. I do not know what the priest outfit is called, but it's the black thing with the little white thing.
Yeah.
So
We all can
I mean, the collar we know.
So they show denim, like jeans and a t-shirt.
Yes,
So,
that's
I
right.
mean, if he was on a jog and then disappeared, it doesn't seem like jogging clothing.
No. Jogging in denim is gross. And if you're doing that, stop it.
And also, the people who find it are really rubbing their grubbies all over those clothes.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Blood? Let me put my hand all over it.
Not even like being a true crime fan. If I found a pile of bloody clothing, I would be like, that's fucking disgusting.
And I'm not touching
And I am
it.
not touching it. Like, what? Come on. I know.
weird.
They're like, what? Ugh. It's like rubbing it on their faces. What the fuck? So I said he wasn't the priest clothing, so he didn't look like a priest. And he was only in town for 4 days. So I don't think these two murders were related. So that's
Okay,
my
yes.
opinion from the jump.
Yes.
Kerrigan didn't look like a priest. It's not like they were searching for a priest and they slaughtered a priest. I don't think.
And New Mexico and Montana are not close to each other.
They're not.
No.
But there's connections.
Oh.
So I said initially that I think whoever killed Kerrigan maybe didn't even know that he was a priest.
Right.
Detective Sergeant Bruce Phillips of Lake County Sheriff's Department tells us, ruh-roh, while doing a search in the area, a bloody coat hanger was found close to
Oh,
the
yeah.
house.
I forgot about the coat hanger.
That
Ugh.
image is
Worse than a bloody coat.
Ew. Ew.
remarkably unnerving.
Oh, it's disturbing.
Oh my
Yep.
god.
Mm-mm.
And so they say that the killer could have used the coat hanger to tie him up or strangle him or use as a gag, but in the reenactment the coat hanger is fucking bloody,
Mangled.
covered in blood.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that's what it was used for.
Oh, do you think it was used for poking?
I don't know.
Worst possible option. Poking.
We're not gonna go in that direction. Okay?
Okay.
Not stabbing.
We're not
Poking.
we're not going in the direction that you think you were gonna go
Yes,
in.
I
We're
know.
not,
You know
okay?
what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I think we all know what you're thinking, Mrs. Bloody Coat Hanger. Calm down. No.
Ew.
So don't even.
Okay, just couldn't tell. Okay.
Yeah, no, I know.
Sorry.
No, it's honey. My brain went there too. It's cool. A week later, Father Kerrigan's car was found abandoned 5 miles from where the clothes had been discovered. They found the keys to the car nearby in the quote tall grass. It's cute.
Off in the tall grass.
I wrote, yikes! The reenactment car is pretty gross here too. They must have gotten a bigger blood budget. Is my opinion.
Yes.
They started covering everything. in
Yeah,
this.
you're right.
Right on.
We don't normally see it slathered on that way.
Squirt it on.
Liberal squirting.
Ew.
Cover it in blood. Cover that in blood. Cover this in blood. Cover it in blood. We have $100 for
We
blood
just
this
upped
week.
our blood budget.
We
Go
upped our
ahead.
blood budget.
Get crazy
Go
with it.
Crazy with that fucking coat hanger. The police were surprised to find $1,200 in Father Kerrigan's wallet. Okay, sorry. Let me back up. They opened the trunk. There's blood all over the floorboard, the side of the car, the passenger side of the car, under the car. I mean, there's fucking blood everywhere. Then they open the trunk and they think they're gonna find his body. They don't. They find a bunch of blood in the trunk, blood budget, and then they see his wallet placed on top of all of the things in the trunk, and there's $1,200 in Father Kerrigan's wallet. They were surprised to find it, and I am same on that.
Ugh.
What the fuck is
Yeah.
Father Kerrigan doing with $1,200? This is in 84. That's $3,000
Ooh.
in 2018 money.
Just pocket cash.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Also,
His father.
whoever killed him, why wouldn't they check his wallet?
Oh, they checked his wallet. When Lieutenant Ulibarri learned of Father Kerrigan's disappearance, he went to Montana to investigate the similarities. The lieutenant tells us that in both cases, this lieutenant, first of all, he's amazing. He is like very articulate, super intelligent, and seems to know a lot about serial killers and their patterns in 84, which is very impressive.
Yeah. He's the first like person we're seeing that like looks at it with those eyes.
Yeah. So he says that in both cases the killer wanted people to know that I killed a priest, and here's the evidence. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with anything that Lieutenant Ulibarri says, but I respect that he's working hard to make these connections. He says that he strongly believes whoever killed Father Rivera killed Father Kerrigan. Mr. Stack says there are other similarities in the case, like both victims' cars were driven from the crime scene, which... and then Stack says that there was evidence that a coat hanger was used in Rivera's murder too, but he doesn't say how.
Yeah, we didn't hear about that part.
Yeah. So in both cases, robbery wasn't a motive. And in both cases, the priest belonged to the Select Order of the Franciscans. But, and these are the things that I am like, they're not connected. Father Rivera's body was found out in the open. Kerrigan's wasn't found as of this episode. Rivera's car was 2 hours away and wiped clean. Kerrigan's was 5 miles.
Covered AF.
Yeah. So, interestingly enough, all of the fingerprints were wiped clean. But the blood was left.
Yeah.
Which I think is...
That sounds stagey.
Yeah. Or I just think that that's like a different... Psychologically, that's a completely different ballgame.
Yeah. Yes.
Rivera, much loved member of the community. Kerrigan was new. Rivera was dressed like a priest. Kerrigan wasn't. Yeah. Kerrigan had a lot of fucking money on him. Rivera was shot execution style. We don't know how Kerrigan was killed, but it looked a lot more violent.
Yeah.
Like, just a lot more blood evidence. Okay. So, and I guess we'll see in the update. Ulibarri makes a plea to other police departments that if they have murders of priests that have similar circumstances, to please get in touch, because there could be a serial killer among Catholic priests. They don't give any update, which is rare? Or what?
Yeah.
Is that rare for now?
Yeah, there always is an update.
Yeah.
It seems like.
So there's no update.
At least a good percent.
Yeah. So, okay.
Yeah, that's right. It just like ends.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I for sure thought there would be some sort of update.
Just anything, especially because of the like religious aspect. You know, like I'm sure a lot of people watching the show were Catholic,
right?
Or Christian,
and we don't care about any victims more than white male religious figures.
True.
That's in my notes. I didn't say it, but thank you. I was like, I'm not going to say it.
KB can say it.
KB can say it. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to make this I'm going to not alley this. I'm letting you choose your own adventures. So I'm going to give you some information, and then we can go on, or you can just call it.
Okay.
Okay? That's what I'm going to do from now on.
Right? That's just extra work that then you
no.
Well, no, it's like I'm doing the work anyway, but I don't want to like keep it going forever and ever and ever in like a typical Alison rabbit hole. So.
Well, okay.
Okay, we'll discuss. But that's what I did on this one, because I was like, should we keep going? Okay, so the mysteries of who murdered Father Rivera and Father Kerrigan have never been solved.
What?
Yep. Father Rivera himself was not targeted for murder. A Catholic priest was the target. Father Gerard picked up the phone. Couldn't drive at night. They called back. Father Rivera.
Yeah, they were like, send whoever you got.
Yeah. The Santa Fe police have stated that the killer was, quote, someone familiar with the Catholic Church, but who also felt betrayed. And as of, I think, a couple of years ago, they're confident they're going to be able to solve the murder. They say that they have scientific evidence which they believe will ultimately identify the killer.
Which means DNA.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I guess whatever they're working with might be too small, or I think this is 18, so I think this article was from 14.
Okay.
There's been no updates since then. So.
Or they just don't have a match for the DNA yet.
Yeah.
Right. They have DNA waiting.
They're waiting for a GSK
Ooh,
kind of situation.
keep swabbing those cheeks, honeys.
Yeah, guys, keep doing that fucking ancestry shit that you're doing. Or whatever. Ancestry.
It is kind of stressy now. If you submit, I mean, you better not ever do anything
There's
wrong.
a myriad of reasons why I don't submit, but a little bit is because I'm convinced that I'm related to some sort of fucking maniac.
Oh no, girl.
Oh, come on, honey, stop.
Well,
Like I said, I think whoever killed Father Father Rivera was going to kill any priest that showed up. I believe that either the murderer or murderers were thrill killers or they were molested and they wanted revenge. Yeah. The idea of two people, to me, coming together to kill a priest in an act of vengeance seems really, really insane.
Yeah.
So my theory is that they're related. They're either brothers from the same church or they're cousins. But because I feel like that's
people don't talk to each other
no.
about it.
Absolutely. You're not going to be drunk at a bar with a bunch of your guy friends and start talking about how you were sexually assaulted by a priest.
No.
So I really think that it was probably two people that were related, that were roughly the same age, that went through the same scenario and killed in an act of vengeance. And that's why it didn't matter. Or they were thrill killers.
Yeah.
On the comment boards, there was usual comments about Satanists, and there were some comments about atheists. Someone wrote,
"Oh my gosh,
they could see an atheist doing it to prove that there is no God. Like, if you're their God, then you'll save this priest." And then God didn't, and it reaffirmed the atheist belief that there is no God.
Here's the thing about atheists, guys. They
don't
don't care.
Yep.
They don't care.
I'm not testing to see if there is a God because I don't think there is one.
No. And they're not mad about your God figure because they don't believe in your God figure or your God.
It's like,
And they don't care.
Punch the fucking Easter bunny in the face. Like, I just...
Yeah.
There is no... As an atheist, I don't even think about
Oh,
God
God, what
on a
an
day-to-day
ignorant...
basis, let alone
Yes.
dragging a perfectly kind individual into the middle of the desert
Yeah.
and shooting him
No.
to prove a point to myself. Whatever.
Also, yeah, being an atheist doesn't mean you hate on...
No. It literally means I don't care. Like, it was very funny. That was the first time that I was like, oh, did you just mention atheists with Satanists?
Crazy.
That's cute. Great.
Yeah.
You know me. I
No.
get down. I like to sacrifice goats and with your boyfriend with the tight jeans in his kitchen. That's me. Yeah.
Phil Falcon forever.
Yeah. I'm always breaking into Phil Falcon's house and like fucking sacrificing goats or priests as an atheist. Like, what? I was very, very upset by that.
Yeah, that's stupid.
That's crazy. You know? I get annoyed with
it
atheists.
also just shows that whoever wrote that has probably always been religious their whole life and has no idea what atheists actually
And
mean.
has a fear of any other belief.
I get annoyed for the Satanist aspect because people that are Satanists also do not kill priests. So we're not that invested in the fact that we don't believe in God. So it's pretty low stakes for us. We're not going to kill anyone. My suspicions that Kerrigan was always a, quote, new priest were confirmed. There was an interesting development in the case of Father Kerrigan in 2015. So this happened in 84. In 2015, this place was allowed to release documentation as a part of a settlement with 362 sexual abuse victims. The Roman Catholic Diocese of Helena, Montana, agreed to publicly post the name of over 80 employees who had been accused of sexual abuse on their website. One of the names was Father John Kerrigan.
Ugh.
Yep. They also listed all the locations each employee had been assigned to during their tenure, revealing that Father Kerrigan had been assigned to 13 parishes in 30 years.
Oh my God.
That's not good.
Yeah. Given the number of times Kerrigan was transferred, it's been theorized that his disappearance might be a vigilante killing related to sexual abuse. Mr. Stack neglected to mention that when he was
They
mentioned.
probably didn't know.
They didn't.
Yeah, they didn't know yet.
And also, while you're trying to desperately put these two priests together,
Yeah.
they could not be more different.
No.
One is a garbage person, and one is a true upstanding member of his community.
Yeah.
It's really frustrating.
Yeah.
So, like, maybe don't do that.
No.
You know? So, in terms of since these cases have never been solved, there's a bunch of, like you were dealing with, theories. So I'm just going to give you a couple that seem interesting. So one commenter had this to say on unsolved.com. It's my opinion that the perpetrator of these crimes is Curtis Holman. I've basis on the following. Curtis Holman disappeared just a couple days after Father Kerrigan in the same mountain range just southeast of Flathead Lake, Montana. Holman was known to drive a mid-70s blue Toyota pickup truck, which is the suspected vehicle in the murder of Father Rivera. Holman was at the very least a closeted bisexual. Holman was known to... please, people. The comment section...
Unnecessary.
The comment sections are just like...
You don't need to put that in the list of reasons you think he's a criminal.
Yeah, it's like, I always want to give people respect who take the time to comment, but... It's very frustrating. Holman was known to have been an altar boy in the Catholic Church, and there is no evidence, appears to point to the fact that both Holman and Father Kerrigan may have been at the same church during the years when Holman could have been abused by Kerrigan. It should also be noted that Father Kerrigan was assigned to a, quote, retreat in New Mexico, just an hour and a half drive from the cathedral where Father Rivera was assigned.
A priest, what's it called? Rehabilitation?
Yeah. Yes. There's so much information about, I think the name is somewhere, but there's so much information about this place. Yeah. And originally, and all of this is right now from my memory, I don't have it in my notes. Originally, it was opened for priests who were alcoholics because,
Because
Ireland.
And Catholicism, actually.
Really?
Catholicism.
Well,
There's a lot of wine involved.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Well,
They're like, I'm just going to keep drinking Jesus' blood.
Yeah.
I mean, they have no vices that they're allowed. So
They can't even have
obviously.
sex, so like
Yeah.
they're gonna fucking drink.
Right.
Come on. So the person who opened this retreat, but it was originally for alcoholism, and then they started shipping him pedophiles. And the priest who ran the treatment center, is on record as saying, I didn't want these people. Mm-hmm. I don't think they can be rehabilitated. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to go back and they're going to keep doing this. I wanted to treat alcoholism.
Yeah.
I do not think that. I don't think that pedophiles can be treated. So there's a podcast called I think it's called The Trail Went Cold.
Yes.
And I got some of the information from this. And he says that he's the one that found the letters that the priest had written to the higher ups in the Catholic Church saying, I don't want to rehabilitate these people because I do not think. So it isn't like, I think it's really important to remember, especially for someone like me, like this isn't a conspiracy on the small levels. No. It's a conspiracy on such a high level.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. I mean, it literally goes all the way to the top. So, but day to day, there are a ton of other Catholic priests who are like, no, I don't want this. I don't believe that this is the right way to do it. It's super important to remember that.
Yeah. God, can you imagine being one of the good ones and being like, what
Jesus,
the fuck?
I know. I mean, I've seen Spotlight 4 times. I think it's an incredible film.
Okay, I have not seen it, so I'm absolutely going to.
It's on Netflix. There is, at the very end of the movie, before they run the credits, a list of all of the countries that were affected by this big, explosive thing. Mm-hmm. I cry every time. It is never ending, the list. And it's countries and cities.
It's horrifying.
It's horrifying. Meanwhile, there are a bunch of other people that are really good people.
Right.
Yep. And it's very important to remember. It's so easy to not make jokes, but say they're all like that.
Right.
But here's someone who was running a rehabilitation center for alcoholics, and then somebody above him, because that's the other thing about the Catholic Church.
Yes.
There's always someone above you.
There's always somebody else with more power.
And you don't get to question
them.
You don't get to say, I don't want to do this.
No.
Or why am I doing this? You just have to fucking do it. So you open a center for alcoholics, and you end up with pedophiles.
Yep.
And you see them go back out.
And you're like, this is not what I signed up for.
Yeah. And then you see one priest placed 13 times in 30 years. It's horrible. Sorry, I digress.
Well, you're so right. Talk about when people are like, organized religion is effed up. This is what they're talking about.
Yes.
This is a problem.
Yes.
As someone that doesn't believe in a God, I don't have a problem with religion.
Yeah.
Until it's this. And then the problem is so big and so expansive that it's very difficult for me to move past it.
Yeah.
So it's I was really, really happy to listen to the podcast and hear that the person who opened this rehabilitation center was like, no.
Yeah,
You know?
totally.
You're right.
Yeah. So getting back to Curtis Holman, who is someone that this person suspects. First of all, the fact that I don't think that these two murders were connected, so it doesn't matter to me that Holman drove a blue Toyota pickup truck, which was the suspected vehicle. There's nothing to confirm that Holman and Father Kerrigan were ever in the same church, because while you're at the rehabilitation center, you're not a priest. They don't let you go
Right.
out and do
Yeah.
services. So Curtis Holman was last seen in Missoula, Montana on July 2nd, 1984. The evening he left, he was going to go change his truck's battery, and he never returned. He had called his girlfriend and said that he would meet her at a movie theater in town the next day, but never showed up for the meeting and has never been heard from again. 12 days later, a fruit peddler...
Again?
Yeah. I was like, maybe the fucking fruit peddler is the one that ring us.
Ooh, there's a fruit peddler ring.
They call it a berry picker, but
Oh.
a fruit peddler.
Yeah.
Same.
Same.
Because it's literally
Yeah.
someone picking fruit.
And selling it.
Yep.
And peddling.
So a fruit peddler found his Toyota pickup truck, and it was abandoned on an old logging road. There was a forest map spread out in the front seat of his car, and his eyeglasses and wallet were also there, but his keys were missing. No indication of struggle. It's unclear why Holman would have gone to the area, but he told friends he wanted to scout different lakes for places to hike later. He was like an outdoor guy, like a survival kind of guy. When they searched the area, which they described as very rugged, they found prints matching Holman's shoe size. And overlaid on his footprints were grizzly bear tracks. So, I think we can safely say that Holman didn't kill Kerrigan, and that he maybe got eaten by a grizzly bear.
Oh my gosh. So, like,
That's why I
What?
included this. I know, right?
he is running away from a grizzly bear and a grizzly bear is chasing him.
Yeah, or not right. I think he got out of the car and like a grizzly bear, like they found his
Okay,
tracks, and
and
the
then the
grizzly
grizzly
bear
bear
was
followed
like,
him.
yeah.
Oh my God.
And I wrote,
Yikes.
okay, I'm good there. I think that says it all.
Whoa.
Yeah. Also, since Rivera was clean, there would have been no reason for him to murder him, even if he was sexually assaulted by Kerrigan.
Right.
You know? The theory that that Holman killed Kerrigan is put forth by his brother, but he doesn't provide any evidence.
By Holman's brother?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I know. But it seems there was a female grizzly bear seen in the area. Your footprints are covered by a grizzly bear's footprints.
Yikes.
I'm going to say that
Damn.
his body was never found because a grizzly bear ate him.
The bear did it.
She brought it.
Watch Grizzly Man.
Oh, God. Please watch Grizzly Man and then be like, don't hang out with fucking grizzly bears. I remember watching Grizzly Man and being like, this is
We got a film to back up any
Yeah.
species of murderer.
We have a pop culture reference for anything up in here. No, I remember watching Grizzly Man being like, I think we all know how this is going to end. Yeah.
I
Like,
love it.
Oh
spoiler
my
alert.
God. For the first
trust your
time, the
grizzly.
bear did it.
Yeah.
The husband.
Well, the bear did it. Just Holman, though. Not Father Kerrigan.
Okay.
I don't think the bear was molested in church. I'm not sure.
Probably not, but
Okay, so then as I was going through the comments, rolling my eyes, I found this,
Okay.
written by James Harry Reyes. Quote, other strange and unsolved priest murders have occurred in the early 1980s. Google Father Patrick Ryan, Odessa, Texas. Father Benjamin Carrier, Yuma, Arizona. The Boise John Doe, who committed suicide by swallowing a cyanide capsule, is strongly suspected of being linked to these murders, including Father Ronaldo Rivera. Also, Google, quote, did the cyanide stranger murder Father Ryan? And Father Benjamin J. Carrier's murder remains unsolved. Do you think I Googled these things?
Right. Yes.
I was... Pay attention. I was wrongfully convicted of Father Patrick Ryan's murder. Today, I still profess my complete and actual innocence. I know in my heart I did not kill Father Patrick Ryan. Signed, James Harry
What?
Reyes. What the fuck? I was like, is this guy convicted of murdering a fucking priest? And he's
What?
commenting on an Unsolved Mysteries website.
Say it again. What priest was he convicted of?
Father Patrick Ryan. So, this is where you get to choose your adventure. James Harry Reyes was convicted of killing Father Patrick Ryan. The comment is from James Harry Reyes.
What?
Yeah. So, we can either go conspiracy and priest rapey, or...
Did you just say priest rapey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you said priest A or B, too.
No.
Priest rapey. Yes, then I have a whole thing.
Okay.
If no, I'll give you a quick follow-up. So, here's the quick follow-up. Father Kerrigan... Oh, it's so hard to give a quick follow-up.
Wait, we didn't say yes or no?
Well, what do you want to do?
I don't know how much longer is the other.
I don't know. You know, it's fun. But really quick, here's in case I decide to cut this.
Okay.
In case it gets too long.
Okay.
Here is a synopsis, and I got this from the Trail Went Cold, episode 13. So this is what I think, and this was supported by the podcaster from the Trail Went Cold. Kerrigan, the money in the wallet, blackmail. Someone called him and was like, if you don't meet me and bring me X amount of money,
Okay.
I'm going to tell everybody because you just got to this town and I'm going to blow up your fucking spot.
Whoa.
Okay.
Yeah, that seems very,
Right?
very
Yeah.
So this is what is compelling to me, and this is what the host, and his first name is Robin, I don't know his last name, but he says something truly fascinating. This person who killed Father Kerrigan has no remorse. They have never killed again. And they wiped the fingerprints, but not the blood.
Yes. That's what's like vindictive about it is like the scene and like the gruesomeness. Like,
the person who killed Father Kerrigan doesn't think that they did anything wrong.
Yeah.
The police apparently knew the rumors about Father Kerrigan from day one because a new priest shows up.
Yeah.
You know, and the police officially say they still don't think that they still don't know what the motive is, but I think it's pretty clear. And then,
Wow.
Robin says that people in the town may know the identification of the killer, but they're not saying anything.
oh, because they're like,
When a town protects someone who
Fucking
he
vigilante
deserved
justice.
it.
Not good.
No.
I mean,
But,
yeah,
could have used a little vigilante justice with that guy from the Keepers, though. Just a
seriously.
smidge, right? So that is the update for Father Kerrigan. His murderer never found. His murderer will never be found because
No.
they're not a criminal,
And his body was never found.
and his body was never
Jeez.
found.
And they did not
As
take the money.
No, they didn't care about the money.
But taking the money
Oh,
would have made them a shitty person.
yeah.
In
They were
their
like,
mind.
this isn't what I'm here for.
They're like, if I take this money, then I'm just a bad person
Yeah.
like he is. So I'm fucking leaving the money. I just want fucking Father Kerrigan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
And that is how I know that those two deaths are not related.
Yeah, no,
I think
they're
Renata
not the same.
Rivera just, I mean, it had to have been a thrill catch.
Which is so sad.
It's awful. But Father Kerrigan, I don't want to say he had it coming, but
Yeah. Well,
sorry. You don't get shipped to 13 churches in 30 years. Go
no.
to fucking rehabilitation because you're
a great
a
guy.
great guy.
No.
Yeah.
So we know the motive on that one.
Yeah. And the host says, Robin, the host of Trail Went Cold, says, there's no way we're going to catch him unless there's a deathbed confession. Which
Yeah.
there may be.
Yeah.
Because a person like that would give a deathbed confession.
Yeah.
They would
Yes.
say, I did this thing, but I feel justified in it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Totally.
I found that like really intriguing. So
Ooh.
then the other side story is, I'm actually not going to get into it because I feel like that was really great.
I think
That one
that's
was
a
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a side story if you want to look
can
up.
Yeah, that's good. I almost did that with mine too.
Yeah. So if you want to look up James Harry Reyes, you should, because he was convicted of a murder that he didn't commit and he had to serve his time. And he is now out and I guess commenting freely on message forums.
How do you spell his last name?
Reyos. The priest that was Reyes was convicted of murdering.
Okay.
Was also a pedophile. Was also a quote new priest, and would basically manipulate alcoholics and drug addicts into performing sexual favors. And he was found. The priest was found.
It's all shame based.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
And Reyes talks about that.
Yeah.
Like, the priest was found naked and very violently murdered in a hotel room.
Yeah.
So that's absolutely something that you can look into because it's very, very fascinating.
Damn.
So that is Father Ronaldo Rivera, who was a true, was exactly what you want your priest to be.
If everyone in the town loved you, they loved you.
Yeah. And Father John Kerrigan.
Yeah. Damn.
A new priest. So maybe just Google a new priest if you get a new priest.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Great updates.
Dang. Nice job, girl.
Okay.
We sure are.
Oh.
Crack that can. All right, guys. Segment 4.
Ooh, I have been waiting weeks.
Lately, we've been bringing it down in segment 4.
We're bringing it up.
But today, don't you worry. Because this is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, let's end on a stupid note.
The unexplained. The magical fucking rock in the woods.
No.
Oh my God.
No, honey, get Sports Well with it. It's even less interesting than Sports Well.
Well, I do
Oh, well.
about the markings. Do you know about that?
Well, let me explain what I'm talking about first.
See, this is how it happened.
Yep, we're derailing. Okay. Saturday, May 14th, 1988, deep in the woods near the Canada border. 13-year-old Jamie Park and his friend Trevor Johnson are walking along Tumwater Creek. Shout out Tumwater. We have one here too.
Okay, I was confused.
Yeah.
Wait, what state is it?
Washington.
Oh.
We're in Oregon.
But we also have a Tumwater. We're currently in Oregon, Allison.
Oh, fuck. I have to go.
So Jamie knows of a special rock and brings his friend to show him. Trevor says, quote,
Jamie and Trevor.
"Oh, Jamie and Trevor, we love you so much." Yes. Oh my
We
God.
also know a Jamie and a Trevor that we love so much.
Yes, close to us.
Quote.
Trevor says, quote, "It looks like people came here and drew it with a stick eons and years ago."
They're children, by the way.
Yes, they're little boys. Quote, "Maybe the Martians came and did it. It's really neat. It has all the aspects of nature."
It clinched it for me.
Which,
all the aspects of nature.
no 13-year-old says that.
No. I don't think most men say the phrase all aspects of nature more than maybe one time in their entire lives, from the minute they're born until the minute they die.
And also, so like, how would you guys describe how it looked? Like, to me, it looked like maybe possibly native markings or something like that.
To me,
That's
looked
what
like.
I thought, yeah.
But immediately Trevor's like, Martians probably.
And then Trevor's like, oh, also, ooh, it feels lucky.
Yeah. So Jamie says the only way they could do that is if it was clay or they had some space age tool or something. But it's just carvings.
You're a space age tool.
You are a space age tool, Jamie.
God damn it.
But
The
it's
writer is
it's
a space age
just
tool.
carvings in a rock. I don't think you need anything super special for that.
So I'm just going to say that there are no preteen boys who have an entire conversation about how something is made in the span of 30 seconds.
Yes, and how it looks. And
I feel like one would have hit it with a stick and the other would have urinated on it.
Yeah. Sorry, but seriously.
yeah, it's true. You didn't develop as quickly as we did. Trevor says that they should go tell his dad about it. Trevor's dad, I thought he was a police officer, but I think he's just like a ranger. Correctional. Yes. Okay. Yes. Trevor's dad, also very special, says, quote, he felt an immediate need to go see the rock due to their excitement. Yes.
I have a question for someone in the room that may or may not have a child. If your child came home and told you about a fucking space age tooled Martian rock, would you drop everything you were doing and then run into the forest?
Do you think you'd feel an immediate need?
Would I feel?
No.
No fucking way.
No.
My kid could be like, there is literally a fucking dragon right outside. Go check it out. And I'd be like, no.
Maybe later.
No.
Is there a dead body? 'Cause
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
So he said, Trevor's dad again, he says, he quote, got a very immediate feeling that this rock had something to say. It really had something very positive to say about life to me. And being so challenged, I got a great boost out of it. So he got a great boost out of it. Patty Johnson, the mother.
Also, totally absurd. What a delightful family. Can you imagine what it's like to like do a holiday with them? Do they just like wear underwear on their head?
No skeptics in this.
No skeptics.
They just roll in with Bigfoot.
Yeah. Patty says she has an eerie but good and positive feeling. Quote, you can't say the words that the rock makes you feel.
Patty.
Oh my gosh, I forgot
So-
about all the stuff the parents said.
Patty,
It's like we were too busy making fun of the
Patty immediately loves the fucking rock. So Stack says that then on out, their lives took a turn for the better, and they would attribute it to the rock. What?
Also, they didn't pick up the rock and take it home.
No. Because the rock was like 4 feet wide. You couldn't take it home.
The boys touched.
Oh, they touched it.
Oh, I bet the
Yes.
dad definitely read these all
For
over.
sure, we're touching that rock.
It's fun when a child doesn't get murdered in the last segment.
Yes, we
So
love that.
delightful.
Good
Come on.
Lord.
UN, help us.
So Stack explains that the family was struggling financially and that Patty took a job as a receptionist, but they still were in debt. She says things were looking sad and they were in a small apartment. The dad was a prison correctional officer. He was unhappy with his position and the pay was not sufficient for the family to pay their bills. The Johnsons had planned to open a shop in the local mall. As they're doing this, the construction plans fall behind and they become even more in debt. So, but
Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
We're like, can't stop, won't stop. This is stupid.
Go. Do it.
So, but don't you worry.
We're not.
Don't.
Well, I'm not worried. The magic rock is involved.
Well, yes, obviously. Within 48 hours of seeing the rock, Steven's luck begins to change dramatically. The mall owner calls and says they'd like them to open a 1,000 square foot shop. Is that how it works? Hey, you family,
You know what?
I think you should come open a shop.
You lucky family.
So Steven's like, we're poor. We can't do that. The man says that he will take care of getting them inventory.
That is pretty bananas.
That is bananas.
But that is the person, not the rock. The rock is
Right.
procuring the inventory.
Guys, I think it's so. I think
It's the rock.
I
Okay.
think it's
So the family was flabbergasted, quote. 3 weeks later, their dress shop is open and it's very successful. Great job, family.
those dresses.
Oh,
Not cute.
not first in line at the dress shop?
I mean, I would not be first in line at that fully inventoried 1,000 square foot dress shop.
Okay.
not for you.
No, I don't think so. No.
After this, other business opportunities begin to open. Steve begins to manage the movie theater in the mall.
Oh, because the owner of the movie theater's like, I like the cut of your jib, buddy.
Totally.
What does that mean?
Yes.
The cut of your jib?
And then,
I like your style.
oh, don't you worry.
You.
You've never heard that before?
The cut of your jib?
No.
Oh, yes.
Thank God. I was like, I can't deal with this coastal thing anymore.
So, no, that's not. Yes, absolutely. The mall ownership also likes the cut of his jib because
I know what the episode's called.
it says that the mall ownership is impressed with Steve and they sell him the theater at a low price. All these people are just like, you seem cool. I'm going to get.
Is he the
You've got a certain mossy glow.
Is he the only person in town that like works?
Right.
Is he the only one in town that
Everyone's
just
like,
fucking
he's actually
shows up?
working really hard. He's busting his ass. Let's just give him stuff.
Yeah, everyone else is just, on the dole, but this guy, he's a hustler.
Yep.
Thank God for that rock.
Oh my gosh. Steven's just on a roll. So 3 months after seeing The Rock, he opens a candy store, which also becomes successful.
I know,
Dream. He owns that whole damn mall.
I know.
And the Johnsons are just
Wait a
like,
minute, is this just an advertisement for that mall?
medium. It's called Magic Rock Mall. The Johnsons are convinced that the good fortune is due to the magical rock.
That is,
So cute.
that's, you know
It's
what?
cute.
You need therapy. It's due to your hard work.
Man. Oh, man. Archaeologist Rick McClure examines the rock and determines that the petroglyphs were not from American Indians.
He's like 3 stoned high schoolers drew this.
Right? He says,
Space age tools.
yes. He says they were made in this century and they have no religious significance or magic power. Thank you. Thank you, archaeologist.
And then everyone immediately is like, shut up, science. You're no fun.
Oh my God. The Johnsons buy a 5-bedroom house that is rent-free for 4 years in return for making minor home repairs.
That is my actual
I mean, these
dream.
people really are on a lucky streak.
Yes.
I don't know if we can attribute it to the rock, but they're having some good luck. So, yeah, true dream for the Johnsons.
There you go.
Steve now says that this family spends more time together. They're paying back people who have helped them, etc. The mom says since it happened, things for sure changed.
Okay, but he just
like,
said we are now
That
paying.
D is so big.
Oh.
I said it off my
Just suddenly, it's just
Whacked
suddenly.
your head on the mic. Eliza's like, I got a secret thunk.
The mom's like, it's the weirdest thing.
Also, they literally say they're now paying back the people who have loaned them the money. If I was watching this and I loaned them the money, I'd be like, it's not the fucking rock. It's me.
Right?
Me.
And also, yeah, they're not in the black. They still owe people money.
Yeah,
Which one do you say?
the red.
You're in the red if you're bad.
Oh, okay.
You're in the red.
So Robert Stack wraps the episode with saying that most of us would probably call it a coincidence, but who knows? Sometimes the line between coincidence and something more mystical is an unsolved mystery.
Yeah, Bobby.
Is he a little smirky? Just like
No,
No.
he wasn't. I'm
in
shocked.
the Magic Rock then, and
You-
no ghosts.
He might.
I mean, me too.
He actually might. Okay.
What's
I gotta get to it. I'm trying to find it.
Do people line up to touch it?
Is it like the fucking Blarney Stone?
Oh.
Actually.
Do you know what it's like to kiss the Blarney Stone?
Oh.
It's so weird. People hold you. Oh, yeah.
Magic Rock research time. The segment originally aired, I don't know why I noted this. The segment originally aired November 23rd, 1988. It was in the same episode as Kurt Sova. So I researched it. The story was in a few local newspapers as well. I'm not sure if that was like before or after aired it. So who knows there, but
Probably after.
some people cared enough to put it in the newspaper. The Spokane Chronicle from June 24th, 1988 said, this is what it describes as the rock having on it. From left to right, the 4-foot slab bears markings that resemble the rays of the sun, a water drop, 2 clumps of grass, or perhaps a rising setting sun, an inverted keyhole, a backwards D,
Get the D.
a triangle, and an X with a circle above the apex. So we'll put a picture of it on the Instagram, but those are your...
What's that wife's name? Patty Johnson?
Yes.
She's like, oh.
She's like,
I just carved that D.
oh, D.
Oh
Oh my God. She's like rubbing the rock.
Oh, please, please.
But with her vagina.
And suddenly took
Oh no.
And it's like,
Ew.
whoa, things just got a whole lot better.
Oh my God. Oh.
This is how grateful we are not have a sad segment.
Yes, we
We're
love that
such
nobody
shit
died
now.
this time.
in real life, okay?
Yeah, we're not usually like, and don't forget that not all priests are bad. We're actually more fun.
Yeah.
But also a Spokane Sun, the Green River Killer is still out there, so maybe
Yeah.
we're on something else.
It's like front page news.
Oh my God, they're like Magic Rock. So
Focus, Spokane. Focus.
as we know, Rick McClure, the archaeologist, already told us that
It's garbage.
it was in the last 100 years, which is not that long, you guys. He said these neat and sized grooves would be very neatly made by steel tools. It would have been made in the early century.
Not space age tools.
Probably not space age, just steel, made of steel. He said it would have been made in the early century. Moss grows pretty quick.
Name your sex tape.
Oh my God. I did find a couple of comments on message boards claiming to either be one of the boys that found the rock, although the name of the email for that boy did not match up with the name of the boy, or to know the Johnson family. I found a few comments from people.
Knows the Johnson family? No.
It's super weird, I know, because there are no Johnsons out there. There's
not a single
just a few.
Johnson.
Just
Nay,
a few.
Johnson to be found.
So I found a few comments from people who have seen The Rock. I'm sure it's still out there. As we said, it's 4 feet wide, so it's not like it's gone anywhere. And I think we should take a field trip to The Rock someday, because maybe we'll become mall-tycoons.
What's a multi-coon?
Mall tycoon.
Oh.
I thought you said multi.
Oh God,
good.
mall tycoon.
Okay, well.
Okay.
Okay, well, we can become multi-coons. Where is it? Do we have to camp? We're not camping.
I know.
Thorough update for something that is total bullshit. What's the matter?
Well,
Just read what you have.
it's a thing from skepticfiles.org. Basically, it just describes that when being used by individuals with the story being told that the rock and the good luck accompanied each other can serve as a trigger to influence an individual's subconscious into believing that the symbols can bring good luck.
Obviously, that's what all of this goofy shit is based
Yes.
on.
And then they get confidence because they think they
Yep.
have luck, but it's actually confidence.
Yes.
And all these good things happen.
Exactly.
Yeah. So basically, yes, a positive outlook will bring you positive things is what this whole thing is saying. So I tried really hard to find an update on the Johnsons, but even with keywords like Patty and Steve and Trevor Johnson, Unsolved Mysteries, Magic Rock, they're a family name that's extremely hard to Google.
Yeah.
And also, obvi, there's no real updates on this case because it's not even a case. It's the most preposterous thing we've ever seen on this show, as aired by Amazon, that we've seen so far.
Was there anything on was there anything like on Reddit or
Girl.
sitcoms.com?
No one cares.
No
No,
one fucking cares.
there's nothing. I'm glad the Johnsons turned their life around. That's awesome.
Yes. And I hope they're in the black.
Yeah, the power of positivity. Am I right? These people were really riddled with and worried about their finances and their family, and they desperately needed something to help them turn their lives around and believe in. And I said a lot of people would turn to religion, but these guys luckily stumbled upon a cool hieroglyph rock, and they were like, this'll do.
Also, it's not a hieroglyphic. That implies that it's
Right.
old.
No, it's not. So mostly what I found out about this story is that a lot of people on Reddit are asking the question of, is this the worst segment of Unsolved Mysteries of all time?
No, this is one of the best because it's fun.
Yeah, and like this is early on, so if it's already the worst, oh my God.
Oh my God, it's just tons of sadness from here on out.
Yeah, well, yes.
So people say the rock is still out there.
No, don't do that.
Wrap this segment up.
I found one comment.
Fucking fuck, this is
How many more pages do you have?
I found one more comment, and the guy said, I actually have a friend that grew up in Port Angeles and still lives there. I asked him about this, and unfortunately, he mentioned that the general word around town is that it was a hoax.
No. What?
I know, I don't want to ruin it for you guys, but...
Well,
So I don't know if the rock even really exists because I Googled
wait.
it to find pictures of it, and there are no pictures of it available except for on Unsolved Mysteries.
Okay, so are you just... What were you going to say?
Maybe their reenactment was a rock they made.
I don't know because
Honey,
every picture I found...
100% that rock was not a rock.
Oh, I thought it was still a rock.
No, it's
I
like
just
one
thought
of
it
those
didn't
rocks
mean
you put your
anything.
key in, like a fake rock. It was a fake rock.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what if it was a hoax?
Sounds like
But still, I thought it was a real rock. And there's not a single picture that's not a weird pixelated screen grab from UM.
Yeah, that's great. No, obviously it was not the real rock.
I thought it was.
I love you so much. I love you both so much.
So.
Good rock job.
Good rock.
Rock on.
Oh, ouch.
Get your rocks off.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Whew.
All right, who wants to share their
Feels?
luck?
I will. I'm not cheersing or feelsing because I fucking went to therapy this week and it was a travesty. I have a recommendation. I started listening to, I think it's called Canadian True Crime Podcast. It's hosted by an Australian woman who has lived in Canada, I think, for about 7 or 8 years. I have no idea how she does this. She has 2 children and a full-time job. And she felt like she was in a rut. So she started recording this podcast in her closet, which I
Aw.
kind of love. Like,
Hey, girl.
It seems insane, but
Do what you got to do.
look at us.
Yeah.
Hi, we're sort of doing the same thing. And she's adorable. And her research is amazing. And she does all of these, like, this is going to sound terrible, but I just think of Canada as, like, a really nice place filled with super nice people.
Yeah.
Except for, like, Karla Homolka. You know? And it's cases that we don't know as Americans.
Right. That's great.
Yeah.
Love it.
Some of them are really fucked up.
Yeah.
So she was on it by herself.
Yeah. I mean, she was always thanking people. I think she has, like, people helping her and stuff. But yeah, it's her. And I love the fact that she was like, oh, God, life is fucking boring. Let's start a podcast.
I'm gonna go in my closet for a bit.
Yeah. I love it. But
It's awesome.
So her name is Christy. She doesn't give her last name, and it's Canadian True Crime is the podcast. You should
Cool.
listen to it. Yeah.
I'm gonna take the moment to make a little confession that I have just now started this week. I mean, I'm a few episodes in, but The Teacher's Pet. Because everyone was freaking out on social media. And I apologize because my friend Emily told me about this in August. And I was like, put it on the list of all the true crime things I listen to. And I didn't start until this week when I saw everyone freaking out. Yeah, it's really good
amazing.
and really maddening.
Yes. Yeah. Eliza and I were texting about it.
Yeah, I'm like trying not to read things elsewhere because I want to finish listening to this. So
Yeah.
Mine's not going to be like an evergreen recommendation because when this comes out, it will be on for 5 more days if you're in Portland. But I went and saw A Christmas Carol at the Portland Playhouse, which is one of my favorite holiday traditions.
I've gone with you before.
Yeah, it's my favorite. They did an amazing job. It's like similar to a black box theater, like very small pearl, I think. It was really good, but they do it every year. So if you're in Portland, you have 5 more days to see it. If you're listening to this on Christmas Eve, or go next year. I go every year. Maybe you'll see me. Yeah, I highly recommend.
Also, Allison and I saw Postmodern Jukebox recently.
And we're bringing Eliza next time. Even if she doesn't
Yeah,
want a
it was
piece of the
super
ticket.
fun. Oh my gosh, they're so fun and cute. And they bring their own little pocket-sized tap dancer with them.
She's
And
the best, and she looks like a little baby.
She
Georgia
looks like a
Hardstark.
mini Georgia Hardstark. So the whole time we were like, little Georgia. We just loved her.
we
She was
definitely
so
need to
cute.
post a picture of her and like hashtag
Yeah.
Georgia. She is adorable.
Yeah, Tiny
And-
Georgia. That's what we were calling her.
Tiny
Yeah.
Georgia. Hold me closer, Tiny Georgia.
Yeah, yeah. But it was super fun. I would recommend seeing them anytime they're in your city.
They're impossible not to like.
Yeah.
You have to be like, I don't like music.
Yeah.
I don't like fun.
I
They
don't
do
like
covers
fun.
of like current pop and rap, and they do it in an old-timey way, and it's just really charming and cute.
It's basically like being in a 1920s speakeasy, but they're singing Radiohead.
Yep.
It's awesome.
It's great.
All right.
All right. So, thank you so much for listening to episode 9. You can contact us at resolvedmysteriespodcast.com. Follow us on Instagram at re_solvedmysteries. Don't forget to post your school pictures. Don't forget to check our Instagram for pictures from this episode. And then check us out on Twitter and Facebook at Resolve the Pod. We have a P.O. Box. It's 14005 Portland, Oregon 97293.
Yeah, can someone send us something? It's really depressing to just have mail from the old P.O. box in our P.O. box.
Oh, that is always the worst. If you send us something, we'll shout it out on the pod.
We will shout it out everywhere. I'll wear it on my head. Like, just,
Yeah.
it is sad. There are so many people that have had the P.O. box before us.
Oh, are you getting any good stuff, though? That'd be fun to talk about.
Mostly notice this about how you haven't paid your P.O. box bill.
And then subscribe to our podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And then we've learned as we're doing this that downloads help a lot with just our metrics and all of that stuff. So if you stream the episode, that's fine, but downloading is really helpful. And then if you like us, leave a 5-star review and tell a friend. That's also super helpful. For every review this month, like we said, we'll be donating $1 and then matching it to CASA. Thanks so much for listening.
Thanks.
Happy
Christmas. Bye.
Bye.